I didn't spill water on my shirt yet, so that's a better start than last time.
Excellent.
But there's still time.
I got the cheese out of my beard before we started, so
Good.
it's like
Yeah.
as soon as I looked on here, it's like a chunk. It's like, oh my god.
Yeah, I like the hat too. Trying to bring the heat.
I don't give a shit about most sports.
I like the color of this hat. It looks cool.
Yeah.
Hides my
blue
receding
match-
hairline.
It hides my hairline, and the blue matched my crystalline blue, beautiful eyes. You know?
Exactly. Yeah. It's almost like you're trolling sports guys.
Sorry, sports dudes.
Yeah, I love
right.
that.
And look, it is about trolling. This is a good regular friend thing to do, is to troll your friends. Because look, I do a lot of yoga. Dudes have trolled me about yoga all the time. You know,
Oh,
like,
yeah,
oh,
yeah.
the yoga stuff, chant an om or whatever.
Nice
And
tatties, yoga bro.
so
yeah, totally.
yeah, right, exactly. Yeah. I'm like, cool, all right.
great.
You can give it, you can take it. We're all good. It's all right.
Yeah. And for those of you who don't know, this is Josh. I'm Sean. We talk about guy stuff. Last chat was just an intro to what the fuck are we doing here, and we thought we'd kick it off with a conversation around friendships
Yeah.
for guys at 40. So many guys are confused by this, how to make friends and all of this stuff, and I think a lot of guys are in denial about how they don't have any friends and how that's a problem. So today we're going to get into why do friends even matter for men, male friend stats, why men suck at making friends, what makes a good friendship for a guy, and how to make friends. And there was a title for this, but I forgot it. What's the title, Josh?
Uh,
How to make friends at 40 as a dude. or something?
friends at 40 as a dude.
As a dude. There you go. Okay, that's what it'll
Yeah.
be. What's going on for you as a guy with friends? First of all, how old are you? What's been your history with friends? And I just want to hear a bit about how you think about friends and where you're at. I'll share the same, and then we can answer the questions.
Yeah. I'm 40, and so, friends at 40, it's an interesting thought. I don't know. I was an athlete growing up. I did well in school. I was popular. I never had trouble having and making friends. And then I played hockey, so, you have sort of this friendship through circumstance. And then I did a few other jobs that were, I don't know, more intense in some way. Like scuba diving, it's like you have to work as a unit if you're on the team that's running the scuba shop or whatever. And you do have, it's not that dangerous or anything, but you do have people's lives in your hands. You're on a boat, whatever. So all my friends were often based through that. But then, as you become an adult and some friendships wane out of just you move away or whatever else. But then also major life changes. You have kids. As soon as you got a kid, it's not even necessarily that I behaved different, although of course I did. It's also people don't know what to do with you now. They're like, oh, but now you got a kid, so now what?
Yeah.
Or when you're running your own business and that's your focus, and you're just not into going out and doing dumb shit they used to with buddies, etc. And then more recently with friends too, the big testing stuff in my life, and when I say recent, last 10, 15 years, has been when shit goes
We're
sideways.
old guys, so that's recently now.
Yeah.
That's you can tell when you're old fuck when you say recently, and it's roughly 20 years.
Well, but I mean real adulthood.
Yeah.
It's when shit goes sideways. Who's there? And I don't think you don't even look at that until it does go sideways, and it's not. I don't even know if I had an expectation or not, but things look different. So then more recently, I've been thinking about friendship a lot. I would use the word intimacy, and which is a weird word, as a dude growing up. I would have said I have a lot of intimacy with my friend Jeff that I grew up in high school with. But
my hockey buddy.
we did. With my hockey buddy, we're super intimate. That is not the word you'd think of, but that is what it is. It's intimacy in terms of, and here's how I would describe it. Intimacy is I can just authentically be myself with you, Sean, because I'm not scared of the judgment that comes with it. Period. So for everyone else that doesn't fit that category, it then starts to feel very superficial. And you realize, we get along fine, and I think you're cool, but we're just drinking buddies or something like that. Or or as a parent, there's a lot of the time it's I'm friends with these other parents, or we have dinner or something because our daughters are in the same grade. That's it. And it doesn't go further than that. I don't even want it to go further than that. But, you know, if you don't have some closer friends, which recently during some trying times, I sort of took stock and I realized like, fuck, like I've got one, two, two and a half, kind of one dude, you know, like
Yeah.
friends that I'm like, I'm like legitimately having suicidal thoughts. Who the fuck am I going to call? Like that's the kind of friend I'm talking about, you know? So yeah, that's how I look at friendship. Like, I think you need that. I think that that's an important thing. And I think that men don't openly talk about that nearly enough.
Yeah, talk about why you don't want to be closer friends with some of these people. Like you mentioned, you play basketball, and so there's a bunch of butt heads there, and it's like, you know, your daughter's friends are having dinner with them, and you don't want to go deeper. Why not?
I don't know if it's like I don't want to go deeper as in I wouldn't necessarily, but there is something to be said with like finding, quote, your people.
Yeah.
It's like we look at reality a similar way. We have enough similar life perspective, not direct experience, but experience to create perspective, that then we can talk openly about things. And there's the intangible of like, sometimes I just don't really like someone. Like, it's like, I feel not myself. I'm not like relaxed being me communicating with them and laughing about stuff.
Because you
And
said
probably-
your nervous system knows that you being you will probably upset them,
Maybe,
like
or
offend them, or just like not be received well, or make it difficult.
right, something, or like there's the top, like the spidey senses going off where it's not really about judgment because I'm like scared of being judged, but rather the spidey sense going off that you feel it happening to you. That's also something I've experienced. You know, the town I live in, that's happened quite a bit. Like, it can be real cliquey here, and so there's, you know, as I was slowly like staying here for years and then built a house, and like specifically what happened was we've been here for like 6 full years, 3 kids in school, know everyone, whatever else, and we always stayed in little dumpy cheapo rentals, you know, while we were here until we built our house. And then so we had a housewarming party. This is a year and a half ago, and a couple dudes that like felt more on a outer layer of friendship. Like, we weren't like very close. I wouldn't call them up, sort of thing. They didn't invite me to their parties directly, that sort of stuff. Suddenly are like, oh, because they got invited, they came to the house. They're like, oh, like, nice place, you did well. And like suddenly they're like, oh, you should join this WhatsApp group. Like, suddenly I'm on the in crowd because I have a house. Like, they realize that I actually made some money or something, you know?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
now I'm
yeah.
cool.
There's benefits to
Now
being
I'm
your
cool.
friend. There's benefits to, yeah.
Right. Or like, oh, now you're committed to being here. Like, the 6 years didn't count, but now that you've got a house here, commit. Like, weird shit like that. So
Yeah.
I'm just saying, you have a sense of that, and that to me creates a limit in how close you can maybe get to someone. Versus other friends where it's just like, they don't give a shit. I don't care what you have. I don't care what you don't have. I care that you're like a good human being and that you and I can talk openly, you know?
Yeah, and there's just a lot of guys where they're just, to your point, we were saying earlier. You don't share common interests, you don't share values, you don't share similar perspectives, and so it's just like there's nothing to build a friendship on there. You know?
Yeah, that's much more articulate. That's what I was saying.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I think you expressed how it feels, you know, which is important because I think that'll resonate with a lot of guys. Yeah, I'm similar, dude. I grew up insecure, like I mentioned in the first podcast, just pretty insecure in general, and that applied to friendships too. So I was always fairly needy and, like, honestly, like, was always punching down with friendships. That sounds bad to anybody. If any of my, like, kindergarten or, like, you know, 15-year-old friends are listening, I apologize. But yeah, I was needy, you know, and I had this pattern for like most of my life where I'd like go a little too deep with somebody just because they were there and available, and then like not qualify whether they were like actually shared values and interests and whether it'd be a sustainable thing, and those things would often end in tears or shambles, you know, or conflict or just like fading as a result of that. And but then on the flip side, like I was similar to you, pretty popular in the dressing room. So I had a group of like 8 dudes that I kind of grew up with because we played in a private hockey club, which sounds like a fancy ass thing, and people make fun of me for saying this, but it was actually pretty blue collar. It was like $200 a month to be a member of this place for like the whole family, and The benefit was you didn't have to play at like 11 p.m. or 5 a.m. It was like better ice times. So my dad put us in there, and yes, I grew up with the same playing hockey with the same 20 guys and going to battle and going on road trips with their families. It was like a little tribe. I loved that so much. But then after hockey, you know, you go into university and it's like, okay, I'm DJing, I'm going to university. I'm bringing people together by throwing parties, but like that closeness wasn't there, you know, that intimacy you talked about, Josh, that supportiveness. Yeah. Then I started to find community as an entrepreneur because entrepreneurs are a very lonely endeavor. And I realized there were a lot of guys like you and I that felt kind of alone with our challenges. And that was an easy thing to connect around. So I found some friends there, ended up creating that men's group around adventure trips. And all along the way, dude, through DJing or hockey or especially DJing, like I met so many people and I was acquaintances with so many people. Like I always had a crazy amount of Facebook friends and crazy amount of people, but it was all benefit based, like you said. Like I could get people in the nightclubs, I could get people free drinks. You know, I was hanging out with celebrities and stuff, and so like people wanted to be around me, and but it wasn't real support. I also remember when I was young that like there was a group of guys that I connected with through friends that were also trying to figure out how to communicate with women in like a natural way and show their value, because they weren't. We were kind of like bottom of the totem pole in high school and kind of weren't noticed by women, didn't have a lot of success with, you know, having fun romantic dating situations. And so I remember we connected around that, and that was really nice for a couple of years to try to figure out the dating stuff. And now we're all in healthy marriages or partnerships, you know, for the most part.
Yeah.
But then as I've gotten older, and especially when I got sick, like I got chronically ill for quite a few years there, like a lot of those acquaintances just disappeared.
Yeah.
Because they were based around, I don't know. Yeah, it's like sports friends. Like you know, I'm a surfer, I kiteboard, I mountain bike. Like when you can't do those things with those people, those friends disappear, because that's what that friendship is based on for the most part.
Yeah,
with the odd exception, like yourself. Also, with my work, I had lots of work colleagues, and I think this is a common mistake for a lot of guys. They think their work friends, because they have regular interactions with them, are their friends, but none of those people were there with me. You know, I knew hundreds of entrepreneurs, been on trips with them, known them for 5, 7 years, 10 years, and then when I got sick, it was like crickets, you know?
And that's fucking throws you for a loop.
Yeah, that was one of the hardest parts about getting sick. It was like lots of people pulled back from me. They didn't take the time to really understand what's happening to me. They just kind of went, "Ooh, that's weird. I can't relate to it."
Yeah,
and so that was really difficult.
I would add to what you're saying, Sean. Like, and I don't know what the definition of this is. We can look it up. We can chat GPT in a second. But like, there's like this inner, more intimate friendship thing, which I would define as this is someone who like I actually care about their well-being. So what they're doing and whether we work together or not, like those things don't matter anymore. You know, like I'm more interested in them, the person, versus the people who you're quote friends with based on the context of how you are. The example being like, there's this kid, Nathan, that I played hockey with in juniors. We played on the same line for 2 or 3 years together, and we played the same kind of hockey game. We were both pretty rough, and you know, we weren't the biggest guys, but we'd fight anyone or whatever. So we got a little bit of a rep as like a Bash brother kind of team, and we ended up staying in the same billet house.
Oh yeah,
even, you know, and I would have said to someone like, oh, he's like my best buddy, Nathan, whatever. We hung out every single day, whatever, drank beer together. The second that we both were done playing hockey, I think I talked to him one time ever. Never talked again.
Yeah, never talked again.
I have all the love for him, but like that context was gone. We are so different people on every other level other than how we play hockey. That like, it's not like we don't like each other. I wouldn't be like, hey, let's hang out if I saw him, but like, I'm also not going to ring him up, and when we didn't, and now it's been whatever, a long time. So but like the context changed, so the depth wasn't there. It was more contextual.
So just to give context of where this is coming from, after I got sick, I was pretty needy again. That was kind of my default, and so I charged out there and tried to make all these friends, and it actually didn't go very well. It actually led to a lot of drama, a lot of chaos and conflict, and I think I was a little naive. I didn't understand that it takes a lot of time to see, and we're going to get into this and like how to make friends at the end of this episode, but it takes a lot of time to like see who people really are. You only see who they are once they're under fire, or you're in conflict with them, or like they go through a tough time. And so now, just in the last 3 or 4 years, having learned that lesson, I've been slowly pacing into friendships. And it's so interesting because it feels like I don't have many friends right now, at least close, supportive friends in person in this small town we moved to. I mean, I got guys like you online and stuff in my men's group, but yeah, it's like slowly these friendships are like warming up, and I can see that, oh, there's way more shared values there than I thought. Wow, there's shared perspective. Wow, there's like more shared interests than I thought. I'm like, oh, they might have kids at the similar time as us, and I'm like, oh, damn, this could be one of those, like, not to put too much pressure on any of my friends that are listening right now, but this could be one of those friendships that goes 15, 20 years, maybe, that you see in the movies or whatever, but
together forever.
Yeah, exactly. Best, we're the 3 best friends that anyone could have. And, so I feel like similar with dating, like I had to learn the hard lessons with friendships, and now I'm applied what I've learned, and it's going really well. Like we have a really fulfilling social life now. So that's where this is coming from for me. Yeah. And back to your question, Joss, of why do friends even matter? What do you think? We're asking this because most guys think they don't matter. Most guys think it's not a problem that they have a few work colleagues and like a couple buddies they play basketball with, and that's it.
I couldn't agree more. And I was that dude. Like not that long ago, I was absolutely like, people are like, oh, how many close friends do you have? Fuck dudes. I'm like, I know people. I'm a fucking lone wolf though. I'm not even alpha. I'm sigma. Like whatever. Totally Sigma male. Whatever the cool. I'm a sigma male. I do whatever I want.
YouTube videos too. Yeah.
I fix my own whatever. Like.
Doesn't need the validation of anybody.
I don't need any. But that's changed for me, because the moment that I had in hindsight is like, I could somehow be like, fuck friends, I don't need friends, I'm working on myself, working on my own business, working on my own shit. And then I would complain about not having connection with someone else, or I would put all of the weight of connection on my wife. Yeah. Or the couple people I didn't like, hence what you're saying, like becoming needy. And then also I've gone through some trying times in the last little bit here, and suddenly people that I thought I was friends with, like, that dissolved really quickly, and it really hurt my feelings. Yeah. So not that they did something to me, but I was just like, what the fuck? And then I found myself feeling lonely. And there is a pandemic of loneliness amongst men in the world right now. And friendship is the solution to that. Like, it's one of the solutions to that. I think there's different ways that you feel lonely. Yeah. So all of that being said, why do friendships matter? I think having a couple of like actually close friends is a support mechanism for you. And I think that in other people, we learn about ourselves and see ourselves, and it's like a testing. It's like a thing to get to bounce our own internal selves off of someone else. Yeah.
Yeah, it allows you to sort through your thoughts, your feelings, your perspectives. Yeah. Iron sharpens iron kind of thing.
Right, and that does require multiple people. There's a different context for certain people. And I'll just add this. And also because it's fun. Like, I think 40-year-old dudes fucking forget about that. Yeah. Like,
good point.
15-year-old me had a buddy that I grew up, we lived on two sides of the same piece of shit duplex together. Yeah. We had a great time because we would eat dinner at my place, and then we would go eat dinner at his place, and then we'd go eat dessert at my place, and then we'd go eat dessert at his place, and then we would chase the same girl around and get in a fight. Like, it was fucking the best time ever. For a 15-year-old dude. So, I don't know. There's value in that.
There is, and guys tend to deprioritize that because of the pressure of providing and, all that stuff that we feel. But I got a buddy now where we'll just go ride bikes. we'll like have a beer, or we'll ride a bike to the pub and have a beer, but we'll take the long way and just like cruise on like a nice afternoon, you know, like a nice sunset, and it makes me feel like I'm 15. I'm like, this is fun, you know, and,
Right.
Or smoke a joint under like under a stop signs on a corner somewhere and just ride our bikes around, and it's like,
Yep.
you know, we're surfing, these kinds of things, yeah. But I need it, you know. I find it hard to actually make time for that, so it's a good reminder.
Why do you
Yeah.
think? Why do you think friends matter for a dude, 40-year-old dude? Age doesn't matter, whatever. But adults,
Yeah.
why the fuck do you? Why do you need any friends? Who gives a shit?
Well, I've seen firsthand in men's group that like how much guys are struggling because of the isolation, you know. And it's a quote that Joe Rogan has highlighted a couple times, but it's actually from Henry David Thoreau. It's most men leave lives of quiet desperation.
Yeah, I remember hearing that. That hit fucking hard. Hey, there was a trend off the back of that on TikTok where some dude posts a video where he says like, no, excuse me, it wasn't a dude, it was a woman. Some woman posts a video saying, for all the men out there, when shit goes sideways, when things get bad, who do you call? And then there's just like literally thousands of men stitching it where they just respond to the video saying, nobody, I don't call anyone. I've got no one. And it fucking made me cry. Like it was so,
yeah, me too. Yeah.
that seemed fucked up.
Yeah, but that's how it feels for you
and
and I, right?
And I related to it. And
that's why you cried, right? Because you're like, oh shit,
Yeah.
that's my experience too. Yeah, and like just speaking from my own personal experience, I'll share some of the men's group stuff, and we can get into the stats around this. But like, and by the way, the whole body of psychology like validates that this is a thing. This isn't our.
I was
opinion.
gonna say I just looked it up. I just ChatGPT'd it. I'm curious.
Yeah.
Why do
Yeah.
ChatGPT? Why do friends matter? They provide emotional support, companionship, and a sense of belonging. That's the thing that neither of us specifically articulated. Sense of belonging. That resonates with me. I think that the human condition is that we want to have a sense of belonging. I don't think it matters what walk of life you're in, male, female, age, any of that. I think introvert, extrovert, I think humans want to have a sense of belonging in some way.
Yeah,
I
we
think-
always
I think that's
have.
pretty
This
normal.
is why religions work so well for people for a long time. And I'm not religious, but I acknowledge that like people do well in communities. They do well in tribes. I think that. I mean, think about it. It's kind of like when we were on hockey teams when we were young, traveling around buses and stuff. It's like being in a little tribe like that. You feel there's a strong sense of belonging, and it means that you're
Yeah.
safe. You know, it means that you're safe, and that's important because it was like a couple hundred years ago that people were still cutting people's heads off, putting them on spikes, or like, you know, animals could
Yeah.
take your whole family down, or like it's just in the last few hundred years, or maybe 500 years, or maybe I don't know, 1,000 years, where like life's gotten pretty cushy for humans, and so we don't need that tribe as much for survival. But yeah, it's like you can relate to that playing hockey, that the feeling of belonging, that unspoken thing that's there in the background that just kind of warms your heart a little bit. It's so important.
It's a funny thing because it must be like actually biologically wired. Hockey's a good
It is.
analogy for this because if a new guy got brought onto our hockey team, like I'll never forget this kid Gare got put on our hockey team. He was the best fucking pure skill hockey player I've ever seen in my life, hands down.
Yeah.
He just like started late. But he was small, so I wasn't the biggest guy on the team, but I wasn't scared to
Mix it up.
get into to mix it up, get into a tilly
Yeah.
with someone.
Little Donnybrook,
but so
little duster.
a little Donnybrook, fucking looking for Donnybrook, buddy. So
A brouhaha.
a brouhaha. I haven't heard that in a minute. But someone hit him on his second, third game, and I didn't know him. I don't even know if I liked him. We never became friends afterwards, and I jumped on the ice and beat the shit out of the guy
Oh, yeah.
because
Yeah.
that was the tribe mentality of what was happening there.
Yeah. That's what you do.
So, yeah, that's just like innately wired in. Now, here's the other thing. Another dude on our team got traded in the second year. And then when we went and played him, I fought that guy.
Yeah.
It's like,
So-
you're not on my team anymore. Fuck you.
That's how
that
tribal
sense of-
we are. That's how tribal we're wired.
That's how tribal we are, yeah.
You're not on my team anymore.
Yeah, like that's young man dumb shit. I'm not gonna go get in a fist fight, unless I really have to anymore. But yeah, I think we're just wired in that way.
Yeah, I mean, you see that is young kid dumb shit for sure, but it plays out in politics now. It plays out in all these woke, divisive topics that are in the media and everything. And Jerry Seinfeld has a great bit about sports, how like he's like, his friend was getting all upset that the Mets were losing, and he's like, "Why do you care, man? Like none of these guys are from around here. They don't want to be here.
Yeah,
they're not. They don't care about this town. They're gonna get traded next year. What are we really cheering for? It's the shirts. We cheer for the orange shirt." And it's like, fuck you, purple, orange for life. It's just like, it's just such a funny example that shows like how much we need to be part of a team or like rooting for a team.
Yep.
We all need that in some way. Yeah.
If you have that sense of belonging, if you're in the tribe, there's the biology of it, the safety, whatever else. But then I think what it counteracts is the loneliness. You've got some data points, but I know that there's this pandemic of loneliness. I know that I've experienced it. I know other people have experienced it. My dad and I have talked about him experiencing it at fucking 65 years old in his life. That's friendship is a component that counteracts that. Why the fuck is that happening though? What you said you had some data points. I'd be really curious what you found.
I'll get into that in a second. I mean, I'd love to just share our experiences around it. Can I share my experience, what it's like? Because I think that will exemplify it, right? It's like, I don't want to be too much with people, right? And so, a lot of guys hesitate to take the first step to like take a friendship from like bantering around a sport to like something more supportive or more intimate. And so there's a lot of that feeling. And then there's like, and then I have crossed that boundary with lots of guys where, and there's no way I can talk about this without sounding gay, by the way. So that we'll just put it, but like crossing that line with dudes into like supportive friendships, intimate friendships, and I have those people in my life, and you're one of them, Josh. But like, I don't want to burden you, man. Like I don't. Like you got a lot going on, and you just went through a lot, and you don't want to burden me. And so like you didn't reach out, and so there's a lot of that where it's like I run into issues in my life, and I just sit here in my room alone with them, and I like walk my dog, and I'm like so stuck and wrapped up and caught up in this little world of mine, and it just happened last week where like I felt like my world was going to end because I couldn't figure out like what the next step in men's group looks like, and overcome some challenges we've been having to overcome a plateau. And then I did something I rarely do, which is I asked you to hang around after an entrepreneur meeting, and I was like just vented to you, and I was like, dude, I'm gonna cry here, but like this is how I'm feeling. I want to give up. I feel defeated, this and that. And like right after that, I felt motivated again, and I got back to it, and things are going well. And it's like, but so rarely I have the opportunity to do that. And I'm like the men's group guy. And I still don't have the opportunity to do that. And that loneliness, it feels so heavy. It makes problems so much more challenging to work through. And I think it's because of what you brought up earlier. It's the lack of opportunity to like sort through my thoughts around things by bouncing them off somebody else, I think that just have someone else. Puts a lot of pressure. Like it puts you in a pressure cooker,
Yeah. To have someone else challenge your thoughts too. It doesn't matter whether you agree ultimately or not. It's like someone else to just share a different perspective, challenge your thoughts. Like, I got to add this to it too. Like, here's the thought experiment, because I resonate with what you're saying as well. Have the times that you have taken the leap of faith, let's call it, and asked to stay on afterwards and talk about something with me, or you reach out to someone else and like, man, I'm thinking this, or you have vented. Has anyone ever cut you off or been like, fuck you, Sean, or you're too needy? Has anyone actually directly said that to you, actually stopped it, or like ended the friendship as a result?
No, typically it goes the other way. Typically the guy's like, oh man, I'm so happy you guy or gal is like, oh, I'm so happy you shared this because I'm going through something similar. It might even be different every life, but like their feeling of it, the flavor of it's similar, and they're just like happy to connect with somebody else who's maybe in a bit of a low,
Yeah.
Because everybody looks happy all the time,
I have a 3 friends that I would still consider friends. We're not very close right now. We're trying to rekindle it recently, but like from when I was a kid. And one of them, who I'm probably the closest with, this was some years ago. I hadn't seen him in a few years. We went and stayed at his place or hanging out, and it came out, because I was asking like what's been going on the last couple of years. It came out that on this insane job that he had, that he almost lost his shirt and bankrupted his family with, and he's in like big business. We're talking about like hundreds of millions of dollars sort of thing, you know, that he almost killed himself. Yeah. And I looked him in the face and I was like, what the fuck are you talking about? You didn't phone me?
Yeah.
Like, yeah. If you ever even think that again, phone 911, or if it's that bad, or you fucking pick up the phone. I don't care where you are. I'll fly there myself. Like, So the point being, I think about doing that because I'm guilty of the same thing you're talking about. Where like I'm like, I don't want to burden Sean with this or whatever.
Yeah, with all the stuff you just went through, like I felt the similar way. When I heard about it in an entrepreneur group, I was like, oh, well, this has been going on for a little while, like not a long time, but like, fuck, dude, I'd love to be there for you, you know?
Right. So I guess the point
and
is...
since then we have been, and you've actually been, to give you credit, you've actually been a lot better at reaching out since I called you out on that, so I appreciate that.
Yeah, I think the two-part thing is like, part of friendship is the not wanting to be a burden thing. That's a weird ego guy-driven thing that I definitely understand. But if you flip it the other way around, it's like, if you're friends with somebody, you care for them, you'd want them to reach out, you'd want them to ask for help. It doesn't cost you anything. If you're like, man, I'm feeling stressed on this thing, it doesn't cost me anything to have that conversation. It charges me up.
The research on it, like the body of psychology, like science says that the person who actually benefits the most from a scenario like that is actually the person who's reached out to.
Yes.
Because you get this flood of hormones of like being there for somebody, you know, it's validating, it's you feel like a good person, you know, not that that's why you're doing it, but you know, like that's why people respond well. And if they don't, it's either, you know, it's good to know that now because they're not like you promoted them to too close of a friendship for where they want to go, or too deep of a friendship, or you just misread the signs. And I've had that once where like I reached out to somebody and they didn't respond well, and I was like, oh shit, okay, good to know. You're just like an acquaintance, you know.
And also, that's clarifying.
Yes, it's useful.
You know. Yeah. I think that the narratives in our own heads are always, doesn't matter what we're talking about, but this is a good example of like being a burden or whatever. It's always a worse narrative than reality. It's always not. Yeah. It's some story we've made up. We actually think that it's reality. And it's like, for most dudes, that's not it.
No. And to get back to that question of like why I think it's a problem as well, like the pattern that I see from all the millions of guys in men's group that we see is the same thing that you and I are guilty of, which is like we don't have those external support pillars in friendships, and so we make our wives like the center of everything. We make our wives like our emotional support, kind of our like source of humor, our like social and banter, and it's like that's too much to put on somebody. And it's that pressure is going to lead to issues in the relationship. And a lot of guys end up joining men's group. And I'm no different, you know, like when they hit adversity and then they look around, they're like, oh shit, I don't have anybody to talk to. And I think it's because men are so goal oriented and like we're so used to running the ball downfield. Like my days look like this, right? I wake up, I do some exercise, hopefully it's a surf. I might do some stretching because I'm getting older. Then I have meetings that I'm usually late for. Then I got to like catch up on a bunch of work and put out a bunch of fires. And then after work, I got some house stuff I got to do or like take care of Airbnb. And then it's like, and I can feel pretty good about myself going through that little routine, you know? And like I can wave hi to my neighbor and I can have a chat with somebody at my work and I feel like I'm connected. But I'm not. You know, I think guys are good at, because of how we're hardwired, like we're good at sort of putting blinders on to get shit done and ignoring the fact that like there's a big hole in my life over here. There's a big void that's gonna burn me. And then when guys go through divorces, when they figure that out, they've been cheated on, when there's addiction in the family, like that's when they look around and go, oh shit, like I don't have anybody else to talk to.
Dude, to double down on what you're saying, I think about when I lost my daughter, and I was lucky at that point because I had a spiritual practice, I had support mechanism around me, I had support family around me, I had a couple friends who came up, you know, big at that moment. I had a community around me.
Nice.
Because I don't know what the fuck would have happened otherwise, honestly. I probably would have become an alcoholic and killed myself. Like, just
Yeah.
like...
Oh, yeah.
So, but the point being, it was very obvious that with that level of intensity, whatever the situation is, that's not the time to be looking for the thing to grab onto.
No, that's true. That's true. You're setting yourself up for attracting the wrong people, aren't you?
And or it's like what you're gonna discover your spirituality on the back of that. Like, that's fucking tough. That's
Right,
too
there's a lot to
complicated.
ask. That's a lot to ask.
You know. So if you already have friendships in place, if you already know who you are, if you already have spiritualism in place, whatever the case is, like, you don't need to know what it's for. It'll be there
Right.
for you when you need it. But
Right.
that's something that you do as being taking care of yourself holistically, in my mind.
Self-care move, yeah. It's almost like insurance, you know. You don't buy insurance after something happens. You buy it for when something happens.
Yeah. I mean, I think the things, whatever you're, and look, I work in hyper-focus moments, and I think that's pretty normal for people too, that you go in these chapters of like, I'm just working on my business, and you're like, there's a sacrifice involved with that. I'm not going out making friends, whatever else. But in the bigger time scale of things, whatever you're neglecting is the thing that's going to bite you in the ass. At some point.
Yeah.
It's inevitable, you know? So, yeah.
Guys are so
Go make
blind to
some
this.
friends.
Why are they so blind to this? Why are they not? Why don't guys acknowledge this? Why is it so hard for guys? I see guys in my town. You know, I got all these surf buddies that I surf with, and like they have other bros, like real broy guys, cool surf dudes they go surfing with, and they have like their construction dudes, but they don't have any real friends. And it's like, why is this the norm? Why are guys? Why, you know? It's just bad.
I don't know. I don't know. I could ask the question in a different way. I find myself jealous of some of those guys you're describing.
How so?
Like my
Because
ego makes me think like, oh, like look at this dude over here. He's a guy who works
doesn't need it.
construction. He works construction and he hangs out with his old lady, and he's got this one other dude he goes fishing with, and he's everything superficial. And he drinks 6-pack of beer, and he's happy as shit.
yeah.
He seems content with life. Like, I wish I could be content with life with such a simple existence. And I have no idea if that's my narrative, if he's content or not. But I'm like, I must be fucked up because I want to have some real friends.
Yeah. Yeah, it's true. Like, I'm needy. Oh, why am I longing for this? Why can't I find it? Those people are just working their shitty jobs and then going and partying on the weekend. It's like they're having way more fun than me. Look at them. But the thing I've learned through men's group is that in their home lives, it's way worse. Like their weeks with their partners, with their kids, it's chaotic. It's conflict. It's insults. It's, you know, all sorts of abuse and manipulation. And like, so on the outside, it looks like they've got it better, but they're dealing with the same problems the rest of us are. Just they're not addressing them, so they're all compounding, and it gets really gnarly behind the scenes. You know.
Well, it's the kind of like going through the motions thing. Mm-hmm. You know, like existing and just doing the shit is not the same thing as like living.
Yeah, living and ask yourself the tough questions. Like, I'm not happy. Like, what do I got to do to be happy? Oh, fuck, maybe I need to find some friends. And that's what I've been doing for the last couple of years. I've actually been looking actively. I'm like, there's a void there for me. I need some in-person friends. I got plenty of internet friends like you, Josh. But, you know, I need some friends that I can see, like, weekly. And now, because I put so much effort into that, that's starting to happen, you know?
Yeah. What are the...
Yeah.
I want to look at the stats because I think, going back to like the TikTok trend comment from before, it's like, I think that there are a lot of people, guys included, who assume that most guys do have friends, do have the friend group. And I think about like, you know, what TV online culture shows you.
Yes.
You know, like influence culture shows you a bunch of people hanging out doing cool stuff, and
arms
it's
around
like,
each other.
I've got
with
all these
drinks
friends
at the club, and all these athletes that hug each other after they score goals or whatever.
Right, and every Hollywood comedy movie since the dawn of Hollywood has been, there's the 5 friends, and there's the doofus fuck up, and then there's like the smart guy, and then there's the dumb one, and they're like, and we've been together forever, and we do this thing together, and like that's, so you just assume that's what it is, and we'll watch football on Sundays or whatever, but like I don't think that's the reality. So I'm wondering what the actual data is.
Well, yeah, and we'll get to the stats. My experience of that is that it doesn't exist at all. Like in all the thousands of men's groups I've sat in, or all the social circles I've heard about, or the friendship conflicts. It always people always move on. It's a shared value, shared interest. Even if you do have a high school group of friends that's kind of like that, it's like people move away, people have different interests, people have conflict in between that group, and so they don't engage as much. Like, yeah, that's another. I get angry seeing that now. I was watching a movie with Katie the other day, and it's like, no, it was a TV show, Outer Banks, and it's like a school, it's like a group of high school friends, and then it flashes forward to them being older, and they're like all hanging out together, and I'm like, that's fucking horse shit. That's not fucking real. Nobody I know has that. Nobody. And it's getting worse. Like, I think less and less people are having it. So let's pull up the stats to verify this isn't a couple just old guys rambling, sharing their opinion. Like, this is real. Okay, so the first one I'd like to share is just off the top of my head. Harvard did a study, 95-year study on happiness and well-being, and they chose to study men. And the study ran for 95 years. They studied kids from the time that I think they were 2 until some of them were 95. A lot of them died, and they had, went through all the life experiences you'd expect, like good and bad. And guess what the number one criteria was that determined people's well-being? These men's well-being and happiness, and whether they felt like they had a fulfilling life on their deathbed.
Money.
Yeah, likes on Instagram.
Like Instagram likes, yeah.
Lambos, baby, Lamborghini,
Lambos,
bitches,
bright orange Lambos.
Yeah, being able to winning fights. I don't know, being a good sports guy, being a pro athlete. No,
I think I know what it is. But
yeah,
what is it?
Most people do, but it's your relationships, it's your friendships, it's your community, and your romantic relationship. It's those close relationships that really define whether you lived a happy life and what, towards the end of your life, whether you're healthy or not.
That's an interesting one too, the healthy part. I think I find it a normal commentary for people to talk about like their grandparents or their parents who are much older and being like, it's important that they have community and they have other people to connect with and whatever else.
True.
They talk about that like this is a known fact that grandpa should, grandma's gone. He should be sleeping around with the old broads before he's dead. That's a known fact, but then don't do it for themselves. I don't mean the sleeping around part. I mean the connection, friendship part.
Yeah. Yeah, there's another stat that's you probably heard this one too. A group of researchers did a pretty extensive peer-reviewed study, and it found that social isolation, so not having close friends, just having acquaintances, is worse for you than chain smoking. So that you have higher rates of death. You have a higher likelihood of dying early from lack of community and close friendships and a good intimate romantic relationship than chain smoking.
That sounds insane. That's really fascinating because, obviously chain smoking is bad, but I could see how, I can speak from my own experience, like the more you're by yourself, you're in this little echo chamber in your head, and it just like, it breeds insanity, and like that's how, if I'm anxious, it's because I'm thinking about shit,
Yeah, you're overthinking
it's all
because you're in your
stewing
head.
around.
You're all stewing around. That's a recipe for anxiety and depression. Meanwhile, anxiety and depression rates have skyrocketed. Suicide rates for men have skyrocketed. Suicides are over 80% men now. Incarcerations, 98% men. Illiteracy rate, 80% men. It's like, why are men struggling in these ways? Why is it that as society has pushed men away from having community, they seem to be struggling in the really important metrics?
What's the next data point?
So there's a stat that I have in my mind. I think it was the University of Baltimore did this study. This is the worst sounding one. Basically, they looked at how many close friends, and close friends being somebody you talk to and when you're going through a difficult time, somebody who you can confide in, a confidant. That's how they defined it. And they asked men in the 90s. I believe it was the 90s. It could have been the 70s or 80s. So this is sounding shaky already. But 30, 40 years ago, they asked men, how many people do you have in your life that you could talk to if you went through a difficult time? And then the average number was 4. And they redid the study 5 years ago, or I think it was 3 or 4 years ago, and the average number was 0.5.
Oof.
Which means that half the men in North America don't have a single person they feel like they could call up if they went through a difficult time.
Yeah. Hence that TikTok shit. That scares the shit out of me. Part of why that scares the shit out of me is as a dad. My son's going to be 14 at the end of the month, and already, like 14-year-old him is not 14-year-old me. Like, we're very different people, and that's understandable. But we're also just growing up in like drastically fucking different times, and so the social element of things and the closeness and the buddies he's got and stuff, like what that looks like for him right now that I'm seeing in real time looks different than it did for me. So then when I hear stats like that, I'm like, well, if we're at 0.5, like where the fuck is it for him in 20 years?
Right. Yeah, it's trending in the wrong direction.
-4, like I don't even know how you do that.
Yeah, exactly. It'll be 0 one day, if society keeps heading this way.
Yeah,
it's wild. Then there's other stats that say basically make it look less dire, like ChatGPT said. In 1990, only 3% of men reported having no close friends, but by 2021, that number had increased to 15%. Meanwhile, 30% of men said they had 10 or more close friends in 1990, a figure that dropped to just 15% in 2021. So that kind of validates a similar trend, less extreme numbers than the other study.
10 or more. I think one of the proof points would be, I would challenge this question for anyone listening too, like 10 or more what you'd consider close friends. I don't even think I know 10. I couldn't give you 10 dudes' names right now. I mean, I could, but like,
totally.
You know what I'm saying?
yeah, me too. Yeah, I got like 4 or 5 that I could mention, and like this is my work and my study in my life is like men and friendships and community and how do we get guys to talk, and I have like 4,
Yeah,
not 10.
Right.
It's wild. You want me to just keep reading these, Josh?
Yeah, let's hear them. Rapid fire.
Yeah, another study showed men are more likely than women to report feeling lonely or socially isolated in 2018. Study found that 69% of men reported feeling lonely compared to 39% of women. And the lack of close male friendships is often cited as a significant factor contributing to the loneliness. Age-related decline. Men tend to experience a drop-off in friendships as they age, with many seeing friendships diminish as responsibilities like work, marriage, and parenting take priority. 2020 survey by Movember found that over half the men reported feeling that they don't have anyone to talk to or confide in, and this has been increasing as they get older. So that like is in line with that first stat I shared of only 50% of men in America having one person to talk to. The men struggle to form deep bonds. According to a 2020 study by the Survey Center on American Life, 36% of men reported having 6 or more friends in their 20s. However, by their 60s, only 24% of men reported that they have a single close friend.
I could see that. My personal life feels like it's been tracking that trend, Mm-hmm. High school and hockey, I would have had a bunch of dude friends I'd hang out with.
Oh, me too.
Doing shit all the time. 20s... there's tens of them. 30s, there's like the reminiscent of that. Now at 40, like, I got 2 buddies, like here on the ground with me, and then you. Yeah, I don't know. That's it.
Yeah, I got one real close buddy that's forming here. A couple more that are like also fairly close, but going at a slow pace. And then I got a bunch of acquaintances. I got a bunch of people I surf with. And then I have a couple of friends online like you that I feel really close to, and we'd be besties if we just lived in the same town. All we do is surf and mountain bike and talk about this kind of stuff together. But and like your family's cool, and you like my partner, and so that would work really well. But you're across the world,
Sean's trying to get me to move to Ucluelet.
I've been trying. Yeah, I've been really angling on it pretty hard, dude. It's the same size town that you grew up in.
Here we go.
It'll feel like home.
Yeah, but. Except it's 30 degrees outside and sunny right now. How's it there for you?
Oh, dude, it's head high surf every day and nobody out there.
Oh yeah.
Who cares if it's raining and 7 degrees?
I look terrible in wetsuits. It's not my vibe.
It's nice. They protect you from the jellyfish and all that. I'll keep selling you. I can overcome your objections. Because I lived in Mexico in that same place. So that's another connection that Josh and I have. But it's the same boat, man. I just don't have that many close friends. And I just feel a lot of dudes just don't want to go there. And a lot of dudes are reluctant. And I got this one friend that's been building, and he's been taking his time. He's been pacing, and we'll come back to this in the how to make friends thing here shortly. But like, he's been pacing with me. He's been like very, like not going too deep too quickly. But I can see it building, and I'm like, oh yeah, that's probably gonna be a good one. Which is similar to how you and I made friends, Josh. Let's talk about why men suck at this. Can I share why is this happening? Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it seems like ubiquitously, like across the board, the trend is men make friends when they're in school and when they're playing sports, when they're growing up, or things like that, or Boy Scouts or whatever. And then as they drift outside of that, they make less and less and less friends. And to me, that speaks to a trap that a lot of people fall into, which is they rely on just these organizations to like give them the impression, the false impression that they actually have friends. And so like in university, also when you're younger, your standards are lower because you don't know who you are yet. In university and high school, you'll hang out with anybody, like literally anybody, because for the most part, because like you don't know who you are, you don't know what your values are, you're not clear on your opinions on things. You might act like you are, but you don't really know, so you'll hang out with anybody. But as you get older, like the number of people that you'll actually share perspective with and feel safe with being yourself, like decreases, right? And sports is similar. You're going to battle with these knuckleheads every day, and you're like, you're going to form a bond around that. But then, again, it's not teaching you how to go out and find people like you. So men are never taught that. We're never taught how to like identify where to look for friends. We're never taught, like, and this is getting into the how-to, so I'll keep it short. We'll come back to this, but like we're never taught, how to evaluate or what criteria to look for. We're never taught how to, if you think things are going well, how to take the next step. We're never taught how to express appreciation for each other because we're afraid of looking gay or being judged as weak or whatever. And so I think men were just never taught how to do this. And then, once those organizations go away, if you don't make the conscious effort to join other organizations, which is part of the how-to, your friendships, the lasting friendships from those early days are going to dwindle. Of course, people are going to move away, people are going to have kids, and then you're in this position where you don't know how to make friends, but you don't have any friends. And then, of course, the anxiety and depression stacks up, and addictions, and that's what I've seen in my life. What do you think?
Yeah, I've seen the same thing. I think that this is also a how element, but it's shared experience. Shared experience creates connectivity.
Yep.
But when you're young, we culturally live in ways that force shared experience. And then once you get into more yoga philosophical phases of life, there's three phases, and midlife is the householder phase. So like we would be in the householder phase, and that's where you're building your house. You're like literally.
Yeah.
And so in that, your priority changes and you're more internal. So you don't have the automatic like, oh, we both play on the sports team, or oh, we both go to the same school. Like that's less there. And I would debate that culturally people live, like you and I live more like that now. I work online, but like I'm not going to an office or anything, like I'm not
going to parties or concerts that often. I don't really like the general public because they have much different opinions than me. I'm not going to
there's no shared experience thing,
No.
So
or there's less and less opportunities. They're out there. There is soccer teams in my town, and there is I'll come back to, but there's just
I think that the opportunities are there, but it doesn't organically happen. I don't know. Here's maybe slightly
it's not
controversial.
Organic. That's the difference. That's the difference. When you're young, it happens organically.
Yeah, you got to go. You have to go to school. Guess what? You have buddies at a school. Why? Because you both went to school. You didn't find that person. They
shared a lot of time with
by some fluke. They're born in the same age bracket as you, near you, in the town you went to school in.
They like to drink beer, and they like girls, and they like video games. Which who doesn't
and when
like
you're
that at like 18?
Right, when you're 17 and dumb, that's all you like anyways. So I think your standards are lower.
They are.
Yeah, so I think it's almost like it's not a skill that's acquired at that age because it's not necessary. So like you have to go through a relearning. But then, slightly controversial take, I also think that there's a guilt element that blocks this for men. So if I got 3 kids at home and a wife, and so like I want to be Superman, right? I want to have a good intimate relationship with my wife. I want to be a great father for my kids who are different things. I want to participate in what they're doing at school. I also own my own business. I want to go and do that. I sometimes travel for work. So it's like, I want to provide for them and have a dope house. And I also want us to go on adventures together or whatever. So like, I want all of these things. I want to be a successful entrepreneur who makes money. I also want to be connected with all of them. I also want to like work on my own spirituality, whatever. I can barely get the gym in. At the end of the day, I'm not like, well, cool guys. Now that I've been working for 8 hours and then whatever, like, peace, good luck. I'm going to go try to hang out with some dudes. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't, one, that desire's not there in the same way, but two, like, I actually would feel bad about it. This took me a long time. Like, I got a buddy I go fishing with, go on a fishing boat together. And it was a point of tension between my wife and I at a moment. She's like, oh, well, you're going fishing all day on Friday or whatever. And like, yeah, that's why I schedule those on Fridays when the kids are in school and it's not the weekend for our time or whatever.
Yeah.
But like, I had guilt around that then. Like, oh, like, should I be going fishing with my friend and hanging out and talking for 3 hours and also catching fish for dinner?
Yeah.
Yeah, of course I should. But I had to unpack that. There was a lot of, so I think that there's a lot of other life pressures and desires for men, inclusive of the women in their life or the families in their life asking a lot of them, and them feeling like, if I prioritize trying to make friends or do something with a friend or whatever, that means I'm sacrificing doing that with them.
Yeah.
And that's a source of tension, whether internally or actually directly with them.
It's true. Yeah, I was curious, while you said that, because it's such a great point, because I feel that as well. If that's like a women-specific partner thing, but I don't really think it is. I think it's just being in a long-term partnership thing.
Yeah.
Like, here's an example, right? Like yesterday, I checked like 10 things off the list that benefit her and I, and then at the end of the day, she had a tough day at work, and she came home, there were a few dishes on the counter, and she's like, come on, can't you help me with the dishes? And I was like, well, you didn't help me with those 10 other things, And I think that's just an partnership where it's like, everybody's just focused on their own needs in the moment sometimes, especially when you're short and low energy and tired, and it's easy to put pressure on the other person to pull more load, I think a lot of guys would say, oh, that's just women taking advantage of men. I don't think so. I think it goes both ways.
No.
And I think it's just a dynamic of a relationship, and it's easy for people to go, when they're low, when they're not feeling good, to go, oh, you're going fishing all day with your friends on Friday? Really? Like, when I have all this shit going on, I think that's
you want to prioritize that instead of prioritizing me.
Totally.
I think it's equally, if not more so, an internal thing for a lot of dudes, and I think that they maybe don't realize that at first.
I agree.
That that tension between my wife and I doesn't really exist in the same way, because there's a balance that has to be achieved, and that's an ongoing discussion. But internally in me, I also had to go through like, it's not fun to go fishing if I'm thinking about like, I should be at work doing this thing.
Right.
Or like, I should be at home, or like,
my wife's
kids okay like this.
Here. Yeah.
Right.
Pollutes
That's
the
not
experience.
fun.
Yeah. I also hear a lot of stories in men's group of guys that just have really cunty partners who like don't like them doing stuff without them, and they're needy and demanding and probably narcissistic, and so that's a real thing too. But
yeah, I think attachment. I think different attachment styles also. That's where we get into the relationship dynamic
love
of
languages,
things too.
All that stuff. Yeah, so we're not trained, and we feel guilty. And I also, men don't know. It's fascinating, dude. I did have this one adventure trip, and there were two guys sitting. We were at this like lawn bowling / bar thing, and so we're having beers, and it was fun. And at these retreats that I used to do, I'd intentionally like sit guys together that had commonalities, because it's an easy way to make friends. And these two guys, I sat them down there, and they were in the same business. They both just got cheated on. They're both facing divorces. They both love skiing, like ski nuts. And they're sitting there with beers, and they're fucking struggling to like get words in. Like guys just don't know the nuts and bolts of like how to ask the right questions to figure out if there's even commonalities, or if there's shared experience opportunity there. Like, it was so painful. I just sat back and observed. I've done this a lot with men. Just sat back, observed, and I was like, oh God, the level of struggle. This is like a bad rom-com, or like, like I Love You Man, like that movie, This is like a scene out of that movie where I'm like, there's like 8 things you guys have in common, you probably have nobody else to talk about it, and here you're talking about the weather or like Donald Trump or
Yeah.
you know, to whatever,
Yeah.
just like looking around, like trying to see if there's anything else you can do because the
Well,
conversation's not going well.
I think the point. You're like, so how about them Canucks? You know, yeah.
Yeah, just looking
I
forward.
think
Yeah.
I think the two other things that come to mind as you're saying that, Sean, is like one is the own internal like fear that comes with this. You know, two people have 10 things in common, but the risk of authentically starting any conversation to discover those feels so high, or the energetic cost of doing it feels so high that you just don't even bother. It's like, it's easy for me to, I don't give a shit. It's easy for me to just talk about the weather and then we can just sit here and drink a beer.
Totally.
You know?
Yeah.
And the other element that's sort of related to that I think about is I think that most men would say, I don't want to be lonely.
Mm-hmm.
And they would also say, I don't need any friends. Like,
And they'd also say, I don't have
weird-
energy to like find friends right now.
and I don't have the energy to find friends, right? Like the effort to go find friends, the cost benefit analysis feels like, fuck it, I don't need to do that. But I don't want to be lonely. And like, so that's a weird internal dynamic.
Yeah, it is. But I think that's a result of not knowing how, because when you don't know how to do something, you burn way more energy than when you do. So like, I look at men, I look at the first step is like they don't even know where to look for like friends like them. They think that they should go to a bar or like stuff you see in the movies of how the scenes that show you where men meet each other. It's very happenstance or whatever. But like, yeah, these guys don't know how to do it. So of course it's going to be really. Every step of the way is going to be difficult and burn way more energy than it should. And I think this is why guys actually pay for stuff like mensgroup.com, the thing that I do, because it's like we just bring together guys that are a certain type of guy that want to talk about their stuff and improve. And it's like we eliminate the hard work of having to go out and find that, go out and go to those social groups. And like when I was living in Squamish, I wanted to make friends, and I investigated the yoga community. I went to all the yoga studios and some yoga events. That was like 6 months, and I was like, well, nobody here. And then I went into the music community and kind of investigated that, and a bunch of sports community. So it takes a lot of time. You're right, a lot of energy. Now the good news is there are steps that we're going to share here coming up in a few minutes, where that'll make it easier. But does that make sense? I think it's because guys don't know how to do it, so they're going to burn a lot of time and energy trying to figure it out. And that's why it feels so like such a barrier, not having energy, not having time.
I think I think yes, that's absolutely it. And I'm not. Again, it's like I think that there's a desire to not be lonely, but I'm not sure that's not the same thing as a desire to have friends. Like, those are separate things in my mind, slightly. There's just like there's a subtlety there. It's like I don't know a lot of dudes who would say like, yeah, it's really important for me to have a bunch of friends. I know women who would say that.
Yeah.
I don't know men who would say that. Now I do know men who would say like, yeah, no, you don't want to be lonely. Like it's important to not be lonely. It's like
is that an education thing? Because it seems like what they're focusing on is their internal experience. I feel lonely. I'm feeling lonely. I can tell that's not good for me. But nobody said to them, yeah, dude, you got to put a bit of effort into making some friends. Like, friends are the solution. It seems like it's like a marketing. Yeah, like when you and I talk about marketing, right? It's like, do you sell them the drill or do you sell them all this beautiful stuff you're going to be able to do with the drill? It's like guys haven't been sold the drill.
Yeah. Nah, you're right. Yeah, you sell the hole, not the drill.
Yeah, you sell the hole, not the drill. Yeah. So guys have awareness around there. And this is one of the issues with Men's Group we've run into with marketing and sales. It's like a lot of guys don't even know what the answer is to their loneliness, and it's just making good friends.
Yeah.
That share your values and interests and perspectives.
Well, I think you're right. Like, this goes back to a how to make friends, education thing. I think it's also just having this conversation at all. Like, just
it hasn't been promoted to guys, so they don't know that's the answer. That's it. Like nowhere, like in the movies, like you said it before. It's like all these high school friends and sports friends, and it's like, where do you look to actually see what making friends actually looks like when you're 40?
Well, this is a slight tangent, but I think it's the best point I can the best analogy I can say.
Yeah.
If I think about like what is a positive representation of masculinity, so when we talk about like TV or whatever else, the best representation of like what really good masculinity looks like in my mind is what's the father's name in the Addams Family?
I never watched that. I don't know.
Well, for those of you who watch it, the Addams Family, like the father, fuck, it'll come to me. Doesn't matter. You look it up.
I'm gonna look
He's
at
a
it up.
sword.
Amy, pull it up.
He's a
Gomez Adams.
Gomez Adams. Gomez Adams is an excellent representation in my mind of positive masculinity.
Really?
He's a male. He's always he's very dapper in all the scenes. He's a sword fighter. He also loves his children and makes out with his wife all the time, but is not needy about it. He supports his brother even when his brother, despite the fact that his brother is a total fuck up, he helps him, right? Like, he's not some big alpha whatever dude, but like that's positive masculinity. So the point is, by extension, it's hard to find that example of positive masculinity. For men, I think it's hard to find the example of deep positive friendship. None of the TV shows are showing us the conversation where I say to you, like, fuck, dude, I'm in a dark place right now.
Yeah.
And I don't need to be needy on you, but like, I just need to bounce this idea off someone because I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. Like, I can't think of a single example of that anywhere ever that I've seen. So like, there's nothing for young men to model after.
Yeah.
Now, I think the conversation has started that, men should be more open to talking to each other, etc. But
you can find it, but
right.
you have to have problem awareness, and a lot of guys don't. So, like, again, it's back to that problem, right? It's like, yeah, you can do a quick Google search, and this video will come up, and a bunch of other great videos and blogs. But it's like they feel lonely. They don't realize they need friends. Like that's the solution.
Well, and look, I think that because we know that both of us are expressing that we're maybe not as good as we would aspire to be eventually at reaching out for connection or help when maybe we would need it. One thing that's been on my radar in the last years that always freaks me out is the weird subtle ways that a guy would reach out for help or connection. It's not direct. It is real subtle. It's like the guy who like, you don't really talk to for a bit or whatever else, and then they just kind of like randomly send you a text message and they're like, hey, like, thinking about grabbing a beer, like that sort of thing. And you're like, sorry, I'm busy. But it's like, no, that might have been it. That might have been the fucking, dude, I'm going to divorce my wife. Like that might have been what was on the other side of that.
Yeah. Yeah, it can be. Very often it is. Or like, hey, how you been? That's the one that always gets me from somebody I haven't heard from in a while. It's like, what made you think of me? Because it's just not, I mean, some old friends just check in, sure, but more often than not, that thing for me is like they want me to answer so that they can share whatever the fuck they're going through right now, and they just want to talk about it,
Well, here's the other question. What do you think about like the superficial conversations? And let me give a little bit more context. I think about the idea that there are friends, and everyone does this, but okay, a group of guys get together and someone's like, hey, Sean, like, how's it going? How's the wife? But they ask it like that with that tone. And so I interpret that as like, you're not actually asking me, how is it with my wife? You're asking me a pleasantry because you're supposed to. And what you want me to say is like, yeah, she's good. I'll say hi to her. So how about those Canucks? And then we fucking talk about the hockey thing. Yeah. You don't want me to be like, dude, I love my wife, but that bitch is crazy right now. Like, this is the problem that I'm having, or like, or you don't want me to say like, you know what? Like, I got drunk last Friday and I yelled at her like a total fucking asshole, and I'm feeling real shitty about it. You don't want me to say that?
No. So yeah. They're just saying that to feel like they're a good person, to feel like they're the type of person who cares. Just like most pleasantries, You can tell from the tone, You can tell from the tone.
What the fuck is that?
Yeah. I don't know. People do it all the time. I do it, Not as much because that kind of shit bothers me. But yeah, just like people want to look good in front of their neighbors and friends. It's that social hardwiring again. They don't want to get kicked out of the tribe. So, but a lot of people are like that. A lot of people are people pleasing, and they just want to appear as though they care. but they don't want the
Yeah.
real answer, because the real answer doesn't. You don't get to the real answer like that. The real answer is like a friend sends you a text and says, "Hey, you want to go for a beer?" And then you go for a beer, and then he's like, "Man, I'm going through a rough time with my partner right now. How are you and Katie doing? You know, like, tell me about that." Like they're asking because they want perspective. They're not asking you in passing with like an uptrending tone. Like, "Hey, how's the wife?" You know, somebody I haven't seen in a while. "Hey, how's Katie doing?" You know, like I'll just say, "Great." Because I tried the other way, by the way. Like, I've explored this. I went the other way, and when I was just real with everybody all the time, that actually made a lot of people step back from me, because that's too deep for how the dynamic of that friendship and what they're looking for. They're not looking for that.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the
There's the
signs were very
overshare.
clearly there. The flags were very clearly there that they didn't actually want to hear that. They were just doing a pleasantry. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. There's the overshare risk or whatever, which is, I mean, contextual for when the time is. But yeah, I guess part of the point that I'm trying to get to is like, you have that question, you can't actually answer it, but then you spend an hour hanging out talking about sports or whatever else, is the analogy that we're using all the time here. And it's like, when does that actual question happen if the guy doesn't reach out? And that's the thing that I think is missing. That's the thing that's not learned. And when you take away the context of like, we work together all the time, or we have this other shared experience organically out of necessity, it's like harder to get to a moment where that can happen even.
Yeah, I agree. That's a great point. This is leading us to this point of like what makes a good friendship and how to make friends, which is what we'll end with. Is probably the most valuable part of this. But I think that what I've learned about friendships and this particular subject is that it takes time to see if people like to go there or not, or are able to go there or not. Right. So like I made this new friend here in town, and at the beginning, it was like he was shit talking people in the Facebook community group, and I liked his points. He seemed like reasonable and pragmatic. He was just like trolling people that were being too emotional or like unreasonable, standing up for local business owners or whatever. And I was like, that's cool. So I see this guy. Wow. And then I'm seeing him at the dog park, and our dogs are buds, you know. And then I find out he's a good surfer, and I see him in the surf a couple times, and we start talking about that. And then we end up like it's just me and him at the dog park one day, and I'm like, you know, how's work going? And he gave me a real answer. You know, I was like, "Oh, what's it like to work up there?" And he gave me a real answer. He didn't give me all the nitty gritty, like gunky emotions of it, but he gave me a real answer. And I was like, "Oh, interesting." So he's the type of guy who, and then so I put out little probes like that over the course of 6 months, 9 months, a year, and he kept being open to that and wanted to talk about that stuff. And still this day, we mostly just like laugh and tell jokes and, you know, talk about the same stuff you and I do, Josh, very similar stuff. But like yeah, the signs were there that he genuinely, inherently likes to go there, and so we are naturally go there now. And now it's at the point where we can bring up anything, and that's similar to the trajectory of your and my friendship, I'd say, over the last 3 to 5 years. Eh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's a good segue to like, yeah, what is it? So the question is, what makes a good friend?
Yeah.
What's a real friend?
Well, what are we talking about here? Are you talking about, I think what we're talking about is that close, intimate type of friendship, a confidant, you know, a closer friend. We're not talking about social acquaintances. We're not talking about people to play sports with.
Well, no, I think you're right. There's 2 or 3 layers or levels to this, like
different boxes you can put them into. They're going to fall into, you know. The good news is that I think if you apply the steps we're going to talk about, like that whole thing of who goes where, and ends up sorting itself out. Like, had I gone down the path of that guy and I kept asking him questions or vice versa, and he didn't want to go there, he didn't share anything real. You know, there's people that are just like, "I'm great, everything's great," you know, and it's like clearly not great. They're suffering over here. This went through a breakup. They're struggling to make money. You know, it's like, but you ask them what they're doing, they're saying they're great. It's like, okay, well that person just disqualified themselves from my close social circle because I want friends who can talk about real shit. You know, because I want to be able to talk about real shit. So the good news about as you qualify people, like they sort of fall into the right boxes as long as you sit back and aren't too needy and you actually notice those signs, you know.
Yeah, I would say I do a similar thing, but it's more off of feel, you know, than anything. It's like the people that I tend to be closest with, it's because it just I feel relaxed. That's one of my personal indicators.
Yeah, your nervous system's at ease. Yeah, that's a big one. That's one that my therapist told me. Yeah.
I mean, it's probably more than this. Like, I'm just making this up on the spot. I think there's like 3 layers in my mind, right? There's like people, the 4th layer is I fucking don't like you. So,
Yeah,
because that is, there's a fuck you layer.
There's
So
different,
if you're not,
and then there's fuck you probably. That's like 5th layer.
Okay.
Which we'll do an
Okay,
episode on, 'cause we've been talking about it a lot lately, like that fuck you thing. And the
okay,
woke
there's
stuff
5.
that we shouldn't-
I went
5
from
layers.
3 to 4. Now we're at 5. There's 5 layers. Probably gonna be 10 by the end of this episode.
Yeah.
5th layer is fuck you. Then there's indifferent layer. Then there's friendly. It's like, I'm not going to phone you up and invite you to do something, but we'll end up in the same places and I'm friendly with you and like I think you're a nice person, you know?
Yeah, this is more
Then
acquaintanceship, and it's like often activity based. It's often, or you share
Right.
some similar whatever interests.
Then there's like,
yeah,
then there's like, you're in the 2nd layer, which is, I'm like, yeah, you're a friend. If I'm having a dinner party with a bunch of people, I might invite you, or like a party, or like we need to put another guy on the boat to go fishing because we don't want to pay all the money for gas. I'll invite you, sort of thing.
yeah,
But I'm not like going to ring you up on a Tuesday and just be like, what are you doing? You know, like
yeah,
we're not going to be close. And then there's like a true friend, like deeper intimacy, someone that
confidant.
you could,
Yeah.
a confidant. I was going to say you confide in them, whatever. And that layer to me, the definition is that comfort we were talking about. Like you're relaxed, and I can be as close to authentically me as possible.
yeah.
I can make the weird joke that it's like someone else might be like, I don't know if that's funny or not, and like I'm not worried about it, you know, or just be the quirky dumbass that I am, and be open that way, or ask the tough question or whatever.
Yeah. And I also think there's another aspect of that. I don't think people get to that level without sharing common interests or values or perspectives in the first place. Like to end up in that, I've tried to shortcut it and like just try to find friends that are like that from the beginning. And what I ended up with was just with a bunch of needy people that I didn't share anything in common with. And which it's not sustainable. But I think as you meet people and you sort of evaluate and qualify them as you get to know them, like, you know, then often friendships are built. I learned this about dating too. I always wanted to go deep too quick, and I learned that there is this like phase to the mating dance that's like having fun in the beginning, seeing where you can have fun, seeing what you have in common. So yeah, I think you gotta like have some interest at some point in common to like create that bond.
Yep.
But then beyond that, it's like, yeah, do they want to be there for you? Do they have capacity to? Do they want to have those conversations?
Well, to your defense, dating, all men want to go deep on the first date.
Yeah,
but
that's true.
different.
I didn't mean that kind of deep. Yeah. Oh,
They
dude,
want to go deep.
Yeah, exactly. I spent
No,
my whole
I think
20s
you're
trying to do that.
just going deep. Oh my God, we're such dumbasses.
No, I was like trying to share. I like went. I was trying to be the opposite of my dad. Like my dad didn't share anything, so I was like an oversharer. You know, it was a cheap party trick to like build connection quickly, but it wasn't sustainable. You know,
Right.
it takes time to
I
build
think-
a connection.
Based on what you're saying, the thing that resonates with me the most is the shared values. And this is new in my life, I have to say. I wouldn't have thought this was as important as it was, but mostly the younger me had enough ego to think that my values were the correct values and therefore everyone else had those values.
right.
And now I realize like, no, that's not true. There's people who have really different values than me.
Yeah.
Like actually core different values, and that doesn't mean that they're my enemy, but like that will create a limitation in the level of closeness we have for sure.
Totally. 100%.
I can give a really specific example. There's friends that we have here that I would put them in that second layer. Like we're friends, I'd invite them to do something, whatever. And I felt like we were starting to get closer, but this weird thing happened. And look, this is going to sound shitty because I don't keep score. Like that's just not my personality. But like every time we were going to go to someone's house, we invited them. They'd come to our house, and they never invited us to their house. One time, not a single time.
Yeah.
Every time we were going out, I'd invite them. They would come. Then we'd find out they'd gone out and done something. Never ever invited us.
Yeah.
On no less than 6 occasions, a weird like shared bill situation or something came up, and I was like, fuck, I got it, dude. Like, no problem. It'll all even out. Or like they'd come over and I'd be like, I went to the store and bought wine for us to drink or whatever. And so, and it was never
Never
reciprocate. Never reciprocated. Now I don't keep score. I don't care about that.
Well, you can drink my wine, but not in like a, not like
no. But what I mean is, it became a feeling thing. Like the transition wasn't like, oh, okay, it's your turn to buy the wine. Like I don't give a shit about that. It was that if you just invited me to your house, I would have brought my own wine and let you drink it there and not been worried about the wine. That was just like an additional feature detail of me being like, why is it that for us to have relationship time together, I have to be the starting point. I have to be the starting point, and on top of it, now I'm paying for it. You know, like, so I have no hard feelings. We're still friends or whatever, but like, we're not in that closeness category. And also now I'm like not interested.
Yeah, good. You know? That sounds like qualification to me, not scorekeeping. Scorekeeping is doing it with resentment and complaining, you know, but I think actually just observing these things and not painting a fantasy of who this person is and just sitting back and going, okay, it's really nice when we're with them, but like, oh, dang, they're not reciprocating with invites. Oh, dang, they're not reciprocating financially. Like, and I used to get, I'm going to be honest, I used to get really bent out of shape about that. We had a social circle implode that I created when we first moved out here, which is probably a story for another day because we're already getting pretty rambly. But like that, I was resentful that people weren't putting in the same kind of effort that I was. And now where I'm at with that is just like, that could be a whole bunch of things, right? They could have a demanding family behind the scenes. Maybe their relationship is terrible and consumes a bunch of energy. Maybe they're just not the planning types. Maybe their family were weird with money. Maybe one of them was really cunty with money. And it's like, so it's nothing to get upset about, but it is good stuff to note because that doesn't sound like close friend territory because you don't share values and mindset. And so it's like, oh, social acquaintance, somebody to fill a seat on a boat. Exactly what you said. They probably fall into that like third box somewhere. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the shared value thing, the other thing that came to mind as you're saying that is there's other people that I'm like, and this is a parenthood one where I thought we were friends and then it's shifted and now I'm like, wait, like what you think is appropriate around your kids, you know, or
I've
like
heard that. Yeah. Kids' judgment of people's parenting styles and stuff if it gets into
it's like I don't really judge anyone for how they parent because there is no fucking one right way to parent, you know, for sure. But there is enough differentiation there sometimes where I'm like, this is a bigger like core value from a family unit thing, and that creates tension between us, and so like that's a non-starter sometimes.
And that's just what it is, right? That's acceptance, you know.
Yeah.
And that's how these friendships work, right? You get on the path with people, and until you hit something like that, and it's like, can we work through it? Can we still continue to hang out with them in a way where my nervous system doesn't feel the tension all the time? Or in that case, it's like if you're hanging out with their families and you're constantly exposed to their shitty parenting style or whatever, it's like, yeah, that's going to affect the friendship, and that's okay. It's not judgy. It's not being unfair. It's a self-care move. You know, it's not, just isn't easy anymore the way it was. It's not, I mean, easy. It's not flowing. It's, we don't share it. This is going to get in the way of our connection. Now there's a big area of life I can't talk about with you.
Right.
That's often a big qualifier for me is like, if I can't talk about a big area of life with you because of your stuff or maybe differing opinions, like that's going to hold you back from being promoted to like a close friend, you know? People with weird beliefs about money or like relationships or people that, like I can't go too deep because I just want to share my honest thoughts about it and they don't want to hear that. Clearly,
right.
You know?
Well, I would add one more thing that I don't know if this categorizes someone as like of super close. Well, no, it would be a component of it. Like my closest friends, friends, I have a trust with them. But let me be really specific. It's not a trust in the simple sense. It's a trust in that, or it's like the way I would define trust in this scenario is I trust that Sean is Sean. Mm-hmm. Like I can predict to some level of accuracy what you're going to do, how you're going to react, what you're going to say. Like not the details, but like that's like dependable in some way. Mm-hmm. In other words, someone who, if Sean is Sean and I know what to expect and that's consistent, that's really beneficial.
You've seen it over the years. That's a key point. You've seen it over years. Like we've seen it over 5 years with each other. And we've seen our friends and we've seen each other in conflict. And so that's a key point. Keep going.
Right. Well, right. Versus someone who it's like, one time they're like this, and the next time it's like that, and the next time it's like that, and it's like I can't peg you. I don't know who you are. I can't say like, oh, this is Sean and he's this kind of person and this is how we relate together. Yeah. Like that level of consistency, someone who really knows who they are as an individual, like that's a huge piece that I find I resonate with. Even if I don't share the same opinions with them, I'm like, hey, we don't share opinion on this, but I know that you're you and you're that I'm I, and we accept each other that way.
They're consistent, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, when I realized, especially after I got sick, when I lost those friendships, that's what I really wanted from friendships, at least the close ones. That's one of those criteria to make it to that 5th level or 4th level or whatever, is like, not that I have like a spreadsheet with all this shit in the different levels, but you know what I mean? It's like...
You're on the second tab. You're on the second tab of my Google Sheet.
yeah. It's like we're hanging out and I'm like, oh, Josh ordered that kind of beer? Oh, shit. He's going down a level.
Hang on, let me just record this real quick.
Yeah, exactly. But that's something that like I want and I need is consistent. I need somebody to show up consistently, and not like to have bad weeks or months or go through bad things, tough things, or to have highs and lows, or like, you know, everybody's variable to a degree, but like consistently able to show up for me in the same way when it matters, consistently reasonable, you know.
So how
and frequency of communication. Like this new guy I'm building a friendship with, like it's been about a year, and he's like pings me once a week, and I really appreciate that. You know, and sometimes it's more, sometimes it's less, but usually there's a frequency there. He'll check in or I'll check in. That feels healthy to me.
Yeah, I would agree with that, and I'm guilty of not being the best at doing that sometimes, for sure, because I get
Superman
caught in my own bullshit. No, but you know what? Like that's not the highest image of myself. So, but I would agree that that's part of it, because I can say the same thing. Like when I've had some rough spots and people, a few times in my life, 2 or 3 times in my life, I've had people say like, oh, I'm there for you, whatever else. And then like they just fucking ghost you. Like they're they don't say any, and then, you know, they always have the excuse, well, you didn't reach out to me. But it's like, I don't know, how close were we if I didn't enter your mind at all?
Exactly. And now in life, I'm trying not to get upset about that. That's just like, that's where they're at. And it baffles my mind. Sometimes I run into people and I'm like, I would be so good for you as a friend. Like, you need somebody like me. And I used to meet women like this too, where I'm like, it sounds egotistical, but it's true. I'm a sensitive guy. I'm emotionally intelligent. I know to work through stuff they're dealing with, I've had to deal with. Like, it'd be a beneficial relationship, you know, probably. And like, but they're choosing these dudes that beat them. You know, this is always a frustration for men they're dating. You know,
the young nice guy scenario. Like, I would be a way better person.
Exactly. Yeah, I'm kind of outing myself as being a nice guy there. Totally. But it's the same thing with friendships. Sometimes I run into guys and I see the commonalities and I see the potential, and they're choosing to hang out with just other people who are struggling, people who are, just playing small, people who are victims, people who are just like abusive bro-y types, like really abrasive bro-y types. And that's all defined by like what their parents were like and who they hung out with growing up. You know, that's what leads to what we look for in relationships later, the research says. So it's like there's nothing to take personal there, you know. It's like it's just that you're not what I'm not what they're looking for, you know. And
right, you're not fulfilling something subconscious that they are trying to fulfill.
Like, why does this one friend of mine why does he surround himself with, when he's a sensitive, like, creative guy, why does he surround himself with, like, construction bros who just want to pound beers? Probably reminds him of his dad, or, like, the one friend he had growing up, you know? And there ain't a damn thing I'm going to do to convince him otherwise, and that's going to hurt his growth and all this stuff, sure, but, like, and people probably look at me and they're like, why are you friends with this person or that person, you know? Why are you friends with Josh? And this dude wears yoga hats and, you know, it's just like... But it's because
he's got his hats on his head.
Yeah, it's because you share a lot of similar story with me. You know, hockey players and all this stuff. You know, not everybody's going to be for everybody, and I think approaching friendships like that is a good place. That's a good mindset. It's like dating too. It's like sales. Like, you got to expect. And the stats show like 9,999 people are not going to be a good fit, and the one is.
Yeah, it's the non-attachment part. It's like you're not responsible for the. Yeah, it's not personal. It's just everyone. We're all fucked up. We're all just dealing with their shit. We're all doing our thing. So
I do it too. You know, I'm sure people feel bent out of shape in this town because Katie and I passed on invites. We have had a couple. I don't want to name names or like scenarios, but we passed on some invites where, like, you know, it just feels like it might be a bit like when we hang out with this one couple, it feels like we have to pull the conversation along. Otherwise, it kind of like goes stale, and it's like that's what feels like work to me. So I'm not gonna accept your 10 invites to dinner, or
Or the invites are only because they've got an upside down pineapple on their door.
yeah,
Like there's an ulterior motive going on there.
exactly. Yeah, exactly. They'll leave their garage
I
door
see
open
right
for you.
through it.
Yeah. I got this friend who really wants to surf with me because he doesn't have any other surf friends, but like he's lower than me in skill level and progression, and like I want to progress, especially before I have kids, because I realize that I'm not going to be able to spend that much time doing it, and so I've been prioritizing dudes who surf really well. And because that's fun, going out and surfing a pumping wave, it's like it's okay that I want to learn from another man how to do this through a shared experience kind of way, and it has no reflection on the value of this other person, or that they're good, or that they're worthy to be a friend. It's just not a fit for what I'm looking for right now, And I think he's probably sad about that a little bit, but that's okay.
Yeah. Well, so. Yeah, see, I suck at surfing, so I'm more like, who's worse at me than surfing? So we can go to the easy spots, and I can look like a fucking pro.
Like I need beginners.
The other thing that comes to mind, and I think this brings us to the one of the last points here too, like how the fuck do you make friends?
Yeah,
is there's this thought that you're the accumulation of the 5 people that you spend the most time with. But the detail there is that you're the accumulation of the 5 people you spend the most time with within the specific context of their expertise. So like I'm the accumulation of the 5 entrepreneurs that I experience. Because if I was the accumulation of the 5 people I spend the most time with, my brain would be mush because 3 of those people are 14 and younger. Like at a 4-year-old, I just talk about poop all day, which actually we do talk about poop a lot. So
yeah, fair enough. Dad vibes.
Right. So within your friend group, I think that's part of it too, to your point of like picking friends. In your surf friend crew, it's like you want to be better at surfing, go become friends with people who are better at surfing, sort of thing.
You have to. So people have these goals you don't know about. People have all sorts of stuff like that. One other thing I'd like to share, just because you mentioned the 5 more people, like the influence of people on you, I think guys underestimate that. I think guys underestimate the impact on their relationships, their wealth, their work.
I think they misappropriate the concept of loyalty. That's why they underestimate it. That's my
probably because they only have a few and they don't know how to make new friends. So of course you'd prioritize loyalty, right?
Yeah,
like that. Yeah. That'd be the reasonable default. But like I think guys. I watched this friend of mine that has so much. He kind of like was facade in the beginning, and he kind of like present himself like I am, like an entrepreneur and all this stuff, but he hangs out with like people that are like work in bars, and there's nothing wrong with that, but like that's his whole social circle. And I watched him like miss out on opportunities work wise, and like miss out on the opportunity to meet better partners for him, be around higher quality people, financial opportunities, opportunities for lifestyle things, to get invited to stuff. Because of who he hangs out with, people don't want to invite him to stuff because they don't want him bringing those people. And I think that's a reality of friendships and social life, is like it will have a big consequence if you punch down. Like Jordan Peterson talks about this. Don't underestimate the consequences of punching down. And there's some fantastic research on the subject. There's one study that showed that you have a positive friend and a negative friend in your life. The negative friend is going to be 6 times more impactful on you than the positive friend, because we're hardwired to pay attention to negativity.
Yeah.
So that's a big deal. Like you got one negative friend who's like dark and negative and not that supportive. It's like that's going to affect how you see the world.
It's why we even have the terms that like, oh, the person's a buzzkill, or they drag the room down, or they,
a bummer. Yeah.
The person, like we're talking about like how one person can be 10 people in a room and one's a bummer, and that's what you talk. You don't talk about like, man, there's 9 people in this room that are super happy and fucking awesome. Has said no one ever. You talk about the one bummer.
Yeah. And because of their neediness or fear of like being lonely, they stick with those people, and of this false sense of loyalty. But really, what it is most of the time is just neediness, or like a fear. All humans fear being alone. When the reality is there's other people out there that aren't necessarily better, or like they won't bring you more opportunities like in a financial sense, but like it'll be more equal, it'll be more even. Like you and I are like this, you got a cool house, I got a cool house. It's like You and I like doing these sports together, so we can meet up. We got shared interests. Our families both like each other because we didn't punch down when we were choosing our partners. Our friends like each other. So like, if you invite me to your birthday on a boat trip, I'm probably going to say yes. And then we've both brought each other business opportunities, and it's like the friendship, rising tide floats all boats kind of thing has really happened between you and I and some of my other friends. I see it happening in this new friend too. He's invited me a couple of cool things. I've shared some cool stuff that I have access to lifestyle wise, and we're both starting to share that. And I'm like, oh wow, it feels very equal. But a lot of people miss out on that because they're too busy hanging out with Muppets.
Yeah, it makes me think about like how do you approach that? And maybe this gets us to our next thing too, because I'm not sure that and I'm no expert on this, but I'm not sure that it requires, like, I think that, so I'm going in a circle here, but I think that people overcomplicate and overthink how to do this, how do you have better friends for you and like maybe dissolve some friendship relationships. I don't know that you have to, the getting more friends I think we need to talk about, but the dissolving friendships that are no longer serving, unless it's actually toxic, I don't think you have to do anything. I think they dissolve themselves as they're replaced with something new, and it just organically happens. It's like no hard feelings, like we're not friends anymore. We kind of lose touch. That's just, you just grow apart. Like you just you just accept that. You don't force the connection to stay there out of some concept of loyalty, even though there's nothing that's beneficial for either of you anymore.
Yeah, totally. I just think it's important. I agree 100%. I'm not saying you need to trash people or ditch people, but I think it's more just like recognizing that, hey, maybe I might be choosing my friends from my baggage or my fears instead of from who would be most supportive and help me become the fullest, best version of myself. And that hurts. I see it over and over again that hurts men tremendously, And so it's the point is fucking prioritize it,
Right. Actually have the self-awareness and
go, oh shit, okay, I got all these old boys that I like to drink beers with. That's cool. I can still do that. But also maybe I should put some effort and energy into, going out there and finding a couple of people that share this value of mine or share this hobby or, Yeah. The research shows that it's gonna have a tremendous impact on your well-being.
Well, I'll just add one more comment on this, and then let's get to our last point. But this happened to me at the start of the year in January. I quit drinking completely. Like I went totally cold turkey sober, and I, went on a specific diet, started working out, like stopped going to parties or whatever. Because like the town I live in is fucking. You want a party is always a party going on, And it was interesting, and my buddy I was kind of doing this little bit of a challenge with, and I were saying like, it's surprising how many people suddenly fall to the way, how quickly it happened. Like in 1 month, people that I like would have hung out with a couple times a week or talked to and thought were friends, like didn't talk to them one single time.
Yeah.
When I did see them, it like got awkward, like just how quickly that dissolved. So it was a good example of just like, I didn't have any hard feelings with them. I didn't do anything active, but I was making a decision for myself. Who do I want to be? What circles do I want to run in? And then people that don't suit that anymore, like you got your buddies to go out drinking with, but that's all you've got. Like those aren't friends. They're your drinking buddies.
Yeah.
So
yeah, just bringing awareness to that, like noticing what boxes people fill, and that's fine. I got drinking buddies, I got buddies that I just go to have a laugh because I need that from time to time. I got bros that I just surf with and just nerd out on surfing with, and I need that too. I need activity friends. I need, otherwise those things are lonely to do alone. And but also don't sweep under the rug the fact that it's, all the medical evidence shows that, the negative impacts of punching down and the positive impacts of surrounding yourself with people that do share your values and who will be supportive of your best self and not be threatened by it. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. How the fuck do you find friends? Like, I don't know, just go on the playground and be like, hey dude, want to play?
I need friends. Could somebody be my friend?
Want to play tag? Like, I mean, I fucking love watching kids do shit like this because it like kind of is that simple.
It is. Yeah.
You go on the playground and you're like, do you like tag? Sure. Or they're like, no, I don't like tag. And they walk away. And that's it.
I know it's so much simpler when you're young. Yeah, in
All right.
university, it's like you like to party, you like girls, sweet, yeah, me too. Let's go out and for straight guys anyway. Can I ramble on this, dude? Because through men's group, we actually have friendship groups and we've done courses on this. There's a bunch of
Give
there's
her.
a couple key
Give her.
points I like to hit on how to make friends, just to give somebody a concise list, and then we
Yeah.
can kind of pick them apart. Number one, I think you need to get clear on what you want from friends. Guys don't take the time to actually sit down, put pen to paper, and go, what do I got from friendships? What roles are this filling? What am I lacking? What times do I feel lonely? If I were to wave a magic wand, what would an ideal friendship look like? And like, it's never gonna be exactly that, but I think having some kind of direction with this helps a lot. You know. So after imploding that first social circle, for example, what I learned from that is I can't be hanging out with a bunch of hippies and expect them to share my same values of ambition and boundary setting and being and all these different things, And it's like I learned that I need to look out for somebody who, loves to surf and loves to talk about real shit and can go there, but is also like funny too, and who's grounded in reality, maybe a bit more conservative values, to be honest, and like. So I got clear on that, and then what do you know? All of a sudden, all these people started coming out of the woodwork. So I think that's a very important one. Is you need to get clear first on what you want from friends, And maybe you're a guy who doesn't have anything, and so maybe you need to start with just making acquaintances to share activities with, Or maybe you have activity buddies, but you meet through your road biking group or whatever, and you just want guys to talk about. You want somebody to be able to relate to your divorce, Or maybe you want a guy to just be able to bounce cool shit you've learned off of because you like cruising YouTube or Reddit and which is a fun thing to do as a guy, talking shit, And like what that actually looks like, and maybe even doing a bit of research around like what does a healthy social circle look like? Because they've done the research. It's like a very small group of like close people. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then it's like a bunch of, to your point earlier, Josh, it's a bunch of other people that are like, you'd care if they died, you'd be bummed, but also you don't if they drifted, you'd still be okay, and you really like them, but for one reason or another, you don't see them every week, and then people typically have like 100 or so acquaintances they can keep track of, and then a couple neighbors, and that's it, and the total number is 150 that the human brain can keep track of, and that's how they typically flush out in tribes and human societies all over the world. Can I keep going? Is this okay?
Yeah, I'm taking notes.
Yeah, sweet. We talked about values. We talked about values a bunch of times here.
Yeah.
And I can't undersell the importance of values and core values and what are those and why they're so important. I'd love to hear your thoughts on that, and then I'd love to share a little bit on it.
Yeah, I think having core values clarified for yourself is endlessly valuable, pun intended. And I think that it's something that a lot of people tout, like, oh, my core values, but like they don't, are they written down? Do you like really know them deeply? Have you really unpacked them for yourself? And as it relates to friendships, the thing that comes up for me is you will struggle to find friends that can be as powerful and impactful relationship-wise with you if you don't first do the work on yourself to know what your own core values are.
Great point. Couldn't agree more.
So it's like the responsibility step is to know it for yourself, because then that means you also know what it's not. And you don't have to get the exact same core values of every single one with friends, but like it's endlessly clarifying.
I agree, and that's really hard work. How does one go about finding their core values?
Well, the really practical step that I've gone through a few times, both in business and personally, is like you can go online, find a sheet of different values, like just like a list of like 50, and just go through and circle all of the ones. You're like, which ones are important? Is this important? Is that, which one do I think is important or not? All the ones that you circle, go through it a second time and put it into the most limited number of categories you can. And it sounds weird because there's no right or wrong answer. I guarantee you'll circle out of 50 or 100 options, you're going to circle 20. But those 20, you're going to be able to, in your own mind, for whatever reason, be like, actually, these are into 3 categories. That's your core values of those 3 categories.
I love that.
Like, there's some more details, but that's been my experience. And maybe it's 5. Like, the number doesn't matter. But, because, like, for me, I'll relate this word and this word under this umbrella, and that's how you get clarity on what your core value really is. So you don't have 20 core values. It's and that relation, like those 2 words, you might not relate them in your mind.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. I love how you summarize that. And I did a similar exercise when I was trying to date, when I was trying to get clear on my core values, and I did the same thing. Just looked up a list of core values and did some learning on it. Actually, my therapist pointed out there's actually hundreds of different values. Core values don't change over time. That's why they're core. That's why they're worth paying attention to. It's stuff, and for very good reason, right? Like, core values could be really important, obvious stuff like religious beliefs, or being religious, or money spending. Like, that can change over decades, but like typically doesn't change for people. Parenting style, the types, communication style, and it could be things like, I really value the ocean. And I've ran into a lot of people in my life that might think that's fairly surface. Oh, you're a surfer dude, But it's like, no. When I grew up, the only place I saw my dad happy and truly free is when we were playing in the ocean together. So that is super meaningful for me. And I keep getting drawn back to it. And I can't live inland. I've tried. I struggle.
Right.
So that for me is a core value that's not going to change. Now, if I go and date somebody or get into a relationship where I have friends where they don't share that, then there's always going to be friction because of it. The therapist gave me an example of like parenting styles, or when a couple, one wants kids and one doesn't, and one concedes, then that's constantly like this, and it's going to create resentment. And so like, those core values, it's like, what do you really want? I want people who are curious and want to talk about things. I want people who are like consistent communication. That's more of an attachment style thing, but want to be in my life consistently, that want to be active and healthy and take care of themselves. That's a real core value.
Well, I would add to like what you're just making me think of, Sean, is saying that I love that definition. Your core values don't change, hence their core. Because I think what happens when you do these drills, and I did this the first time years ago doing this in a business, is you start to conflate in your mind when you're circling different words and trying to put them into these categories what your aspirational identity is versus who you actually are. Those are
the boring ass things you do and you're drawn to and aren't going to change. That's
right. It's like the real core values are the things that you're not like, I would really like it if I was this person. Like, that's not a core value. That's an aspiration. There's nothing wrong with that, but that's a different thing. The core value is like, no, this is at my core, my natural, organic, calibrated point. This is the hill I would die on,
Totally.
The sword I would die on. Yeah. That's your core value. So that's what you're trying to identify. The other stuff's like cool, but
it's like t-shirts you put on, right? It's like, oh, Chinese food or whatever, like Indian food. It's like surfing or kiteboarding. It's like whatever, But like when I was dating, I realized I had to be with somebody who loved the ocean, and I had to be with somebody who was athletic and liked doing those kind of activities. And so Katie actually didn't surf. I don't think you have to be as anal as like, when looking for friends, is like they have to do the exact same thing as me and they have to like the same things. Right. It's like, did she share the same core values? Yes. So then of course, like, I came a little bit to her side, so she likes road biking and swimming and crazy endurance sports. So I do a little bit of that with her, and of course she loved the ocean. She was athletic, and so she didn't surf, but she obviously got into it, and now we do that together. And
you're both outdoors, being active, improving, whatever. The relation's there. Yeah.
And I've been in lots of relationships, romantic ones, and I only share romantic ones because it's more obvious. Where like women who are more oriented to the city or inland, is just constant friction, just like. Because it wasn't changing, and we're constantly butting heads. How you want to spend your free time, how you want to spend your money, like these things you'll constantly be butting heads against,
Yeah.
So I think core values is really thing we need to get clear on when we're talking about friendships and before you wade into finding some.
Yep. I think that's like a good, one of the good like preliminary steps we're talking about. It's like getting clear who you are for yourself.
Yeah, that's step number one. Yeah, totally.
I always think so many things are solved by awareness. Like that's the yogi in me. That's just like,
I agree.
Introspection and personal awareness is the precursor to whatever else we want to talk about.
And acceptance with what comes up, because usually it's uncomfortable. Like some of the harsh fundamental truths we've talked about in this call, of social circles and the benefits of qualifying and pacing, and it's not stuff you want to hear. But that awareness and that acceptance, it'll lead you to getting what you want in life. And you deserve that. People deserve that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Once you're clear on what you want, and most guys aren't aware of how this works. You gotta start going to fishing in the right pond to find those people. So you're just not gonna find somebody to just talk about Stoic philosophy if that's an interest of yours, or like, I don't know, be supportive through divorce or something at the bar. You're probably not gonna find them at the racetrack. You're probably not gonna find them in the surf break. You're probably not gonna find them in a hockey dressing room. Or if they do, it's going to be 1 in 1,000. And so you keep your eyes open for those things. And when the signs present themselves that somebody might be a good fit for what you're looking for, sure, take those steps. But I think that I've seen from the millions of guys that pass through the men's group community in general, is that the guys that get intentional about like, oh, I want a guy who's willing to talk about the real stuff. Where do you find a guy like that? And honestly, the best thing I've seen for guys with this is just finding groups that you're interested in. Like for me, since I really committed to surfing out here and being the guy who's out there every morning at 7 a.m. and just talking with 1,000 dudes in the parking lot, 7 or 8 guys have flushed themselves out. They're now texting me a lot, and 2 of them, it seems like we share a lot of values. And it's like, I'm really passionate about this thing. So are they. They have nobody else to talk about it with. Their kids don't want to hear about the surfing. Their wife doesn't want to hear about the surfing. Their friends that don't surf as intensely as them, they don't care about the nuances of it. But here we found each other, 2 souls that really care about this thing. That sets a good foundation for potentially going deeper, And so interest and shared experience is big for men. So there's like groups. Groups are a great place to look, but you gotta fish in the right pond. Otherwise, you're gonna be wasting your time. Number 4, qualify. Throw out little probes. You want me to pause while you take notes, or?
Got it. I'm on it. Wait, what was number 3? What do you want? Fish in the right pond. Shared experience.
Yeah, I guess shared experience on like interests. It's like dating, man. I used to try to jump right into the deep stuff with people because I love those kinds of conversations. I didn't have them in my home growing up. I wanted to talk about real stuff, but I learned the hard way that people just want to have fun in the beginning. Because that is the foundation for a sustainable relationship. You need to have fun somewhere, somehow, or have some shared interest to fall back on when heavy stuff isn't available to talk about. That's just trauma bonding if you're just only talking about heavy stuff with somebody all the time.
Right.
So, interest groups, I've seen the guys in men's groups have big success with that. So ideas like that. And for me, it's been surfing groups, it's been hiking groups, it's been stuff like that, music groups. And it feels so forced, I felt so pathetic going to church with a bunch of people, old guys in Hawaiian shirts playing ukuleles, trying to explore this, But then you find people, and just by doing the things that you love, as long as you are out there with people doing it, you will find people who you vibe with. But
well, that makes sense too. If you're doing something you like, and someone else is also doing that thing, like. Process of elimination.
People are lonely with their interests, because they don't know many people that really love it either. So that's a good foundation. And then I think so that's cool. Now you have an acquaintanceship, or you have acquaintanceships. You got leads in the funnel, and I think that's a great place to start for a lot of guys. Then it's about qualifying. So it's about after time, pacing, not getting into deep stuff right away. Pacing, sit back, qualify. Sit back, just see how often they reach out to you. You want to match their efforts for the most part. You can lead a little bit, but don't go straight to depth. Don't go Like just exactly what you said about those friends, Josh. How you noticed after 6 hangouts, they're not inviting you to anything, and you just see them around town with other people. And they're not financially contributing. Like we ran into that in our town with somebody too. It's a weird dynamic, right?
Well, and to actually, I would just add the quick comment to that is like, I sort of led, and had I have then been like, cool, I'm not leading anymore, and then they picked it up, that would have changed what happened next. But they didn't.
Yeah, and they didn't. So you got the data.
Yeah.
Okay, they're not in a place where they want the same things as me, or have the capacity to. A lot of people are just busy with everything going on, or their messy relationship at home, or their whatever, And a lot of people don't have capacity to make friends. So qualifying, but from a place where you're not taking it personal. So what that looks like for me is over a period of like 6 to 9 months, just like seeing if people show up consistently, seeing how consistently they reach out, seeing what they invite me to, seeing how they handle things when I disagree subtly or if I bring up a slightly deeper topic. Not like, hey bro, I was crying today and because of some deep thing. It's like, but even just that, hey man, how's your work really going? What's it actually like? Just like little probes like that, see how they respond to them. And then people will weed themselves out. The good thing with qualification is that people either shape up or ship out. It's like you'll see pretty quickly if they're and if they don't, that's cool. You got a surf buddy now, or you got a hiking friend. That's great. You need some of those too. But if they pass, okay, they're the next level. And again, I don't have a spreadsheet for this, but it's just kind of like something I'm literally I'm being intentional about paying attention to. And a key part of this is not taking any of it personally, which is something we talked about before. Not getting back to
I think that's huge. I think that's a bigger piece.
That's probably a point by itself. That's probably should be a point by itself. It's never about you. It's never about you. It's just about them and their shit 100% of the time if it doesn't work out. And the pacing should be point number. I don't know what point we're on now, but the pacing is something I had to learn the hard way. Is I thought if I just spent a fuck ton of time with somebody right up front, if I just started hanging out with somebody every day, that I get to know them faster. But that's not true. You need to see them through different seasons. When you see people's true character is when they're under fire, when they're going through a difficult time, when they're sleep deprived, when they're in conflict. That's when you see how they actually show up. Most people will get really shitty, or or not be able to communicate well, blame you, gaslight,
or it's simpler than that. I've had the experience where it's like I had a good time hanging out with someone, we became pals while I was traveling in Argentina, and then we're like, yeah, this is such a good time, like I'm going to be here at this point, come and meet me there. And then it was like, it wasn't fun. Like the context changed. It was it was a friendship fling based on the context of the fact that we were traveling in Argentina in a couple places,
just not a fit, right? And there could be 1,000 reasons why that's the case, but just not a fit for your stage of life, their stage of life, whatever.
Oh, but that's the pacing part though too. It was like there was this intense moment where we like every day for 2 weeks we're traveling together doing stuff and it was fun, and then but like 3 months down the road, so there was a false sense of closeness from that. You change the context, change the moment in time, how we're both feeling or whatever, and it was like then that wasn't there anymore.
Totally.
We didn't know each other through different seasons.
No. Like, I really want to see when people are really in it with their partner, like how do they still show up in the same way? Like maybe they reach out a little bit less and that's fine. And maybe they're a little down. That's fine. But like, do they all of a sudden go off the map? Do they get really touchy? Do they get offended all of a sudden about a specific topic that I know they get offended about? I met a guy here, gotta be careful what I say again, but like we've been surfing together and he's like, we have a lot in common. I got pretty excited about the idea of our friendship. But then he got really touchy and really opinionated about a few subjects that like we just don't share eye to eye on, but he just likes to rant about them. So had I spent too much time in the beginning, that would have become a problem because then he would have felt my pullback and we probably would have had to talk about it. And that's drama. So pacing avoids the drama because you make sure you're investing that's appropriate for that relationship based on what you've seen, because it's hard to walk away from relationships. So pacing is huge. There's a natural pace to these things. And it's probably hanging out once a week. And maybe texting once a week or twice a week. I don't know. There's no formula for it, but that's what it feels like for me. It's like in the beginning.
and never text the same day after your first friend
Yeah,
date.
you never text afterwards. Yeah, and yeah, totally. And in the beginning, honestly, it's a lot of memes. Like my surf buds will send me surf memes or surf reports, or it's just like banter kind of shit. But it's just like, hey, I thought about you when I saw this. It doesn't have
Yeah.
to be, and some guys really struggle with that because they're like, but I want to go deep, and it's like, but you don't know if this person can handle going deep, and if they can't, it'll blow up and cause you drama. So pace. You gotta give it time to see if they can.
Wait, first, are there more points?
Yeah, but keep going.
Oh no, you go first then. I want to write.
Yeah.
All the points
Lastly,
down
like
first.
there is a point where you gotta take initiative. Where you gotta transition from just seeing somebody in a surf parking lot or in a hiking group to like, would you like to get a beer sometime? And I just had a guy do this to me. I've been surfing with him. He owns a surf shop here in town. Really lovely guy. I'm like, we have a lot in common. We seem to just fall in these lovely conversations. But I know he's busy. He's got a family, a couple of businesses in town. So I haven't asked him. And just after surfing the other day, he's like, hey, man, let's get a beer one day after surfing. So, that's hard for guys because we're not used to being rejected. And we don't want to be vulnerable like that. And I've had guys go, yeah, totally. And then they don't take me up on it. But like at some point, you got to make a bit of effort to take the next step in a friendship. That could be inviting, and in the beginning, that's probably transitioning from activity to like hanging out one-on-one. Oh, we're not just hanging out for the activity. And then from hanging out one-on-one, it's like maybe with our partners. And then from that, it's maybe like come over to my house for an intimate dinner. There's like depths of intimacy there that you need to take steps on. Don't be afraid to do that. If you've sat back and paced and qualified and like really watched them and you think they're going to be a good long-term fit, you need to take the initiative.
Yeah, I agree with that one, especially that. Yeah, just go after what you want thing, just like you would in a relationship or whatever else. Like,
yeah,
I think so many people sit back. Yeah, once you're clear, like there's a moment for it, but I just feel like so many people sit back and are like waiting for something to happen to them instead of being like, no, I'm going to grab this. I'm going to put action towards this. Yeah.
This doesn't come around very often. This is 1 in 1,000 or 10,000. A person that seems to have capacity for me, who shares my values and interests, and seems to be able to be supportive of me in the ways that I need and communicate in a way that I need. That's pretty fucking rare. Like, explore it, like prioritize it. Make sure that once a week you're checking in with that guy. Make sure you're, like inviting him to the odd thing that's appropriate for where the friendship is at.
Yeah. Well, and that, I feel like that is almost a component of qualify on your list too, because I think of a guy here that like, I don't know, we play basketball together, we talk about music, we get along a couple times, we've hung out, and I'm just like, he's cool. And so I've invited him to one thing, and he's like, oh, I would love to, but I can't. I tried to hire him to play guitar at the Summit this one time, and he's like, no, I can't do that. And like, I invited for like 10 things, and it was always some reason why no. So then like at this point, I've just like given, I'm like, cool, like.
Exactly, yeah. Naturally.
No hard feelings. I'm not butthurt about it, but I'm just like, nah.
Exactly.
I gotta say.
There's one more point. You want to hear the last one before we get into it?
Yes.
Okay. Last point. You gotta set boundaries. So a lot of people think, especially when they don't have friends, that you gotta acknowledge they might be a little needy. I was there. I'm still there. I'd say you probably are to a small degree too, Josh. And it's like, because boundaries, like people please, and they say yes to shit they don't want to go to. To your last point, where the guy said no, like. If you set boundaries, if you say like people, I've met guys that are great and I think they're a good fit, and then they invite me to concerts or like, shit that I'm just genuinely not interested in. And I've learned that if I say yes to that, that's gonna cause conflict later because I'm giving them a misrepresentation of like who I am and what's actually important to me. So it's better early on to say no, and then that way they have a chance to readjust my position in their life as a friend, and that keeps that spot open. For me, that leaves us both the opportunity to find somebody who might be a better fit. So boundaries are crucial in like maintaining friendships and avoiding conflict and drama.
I like that. I think of my one good buddy Carl. Like, I like fishing. I invite him to go fishing all the time, and most of the time he says no because he doesn't really give a shit about fishing. A couple times he's come out and got seasick. Now he likes going fishing now and again. He likes it when we take the boys out. He's got 2 kids too. We take his kids and my kids out and we go catch some fish or whatever. And he likes to go drink on a boat, but like he doesn't give a shit about fishing.
No.
And not trying to aspire to be a fisherman. So like his boundary is I'll be like, hey, come fishing on Friday. He's like, nah.
I'm good. Yeah. Yeah.
You know, but
And
actually that creates clarity.
It
as
does
well,
create
which
clarity.
is-
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
cool, yeah.
I'll find fishing bros elsewhere, but we still got this other stuff, you know.
Yeah.
And occasionally, like, you do need to, if somebody's becoming important in your life, like promoting to the higher levels that we talked about, the 5 or whatever, from fuck you to close friend, you have to take people up on their bids for connections. So, for example, you and I, Josh, I don't really care about that fishing that much, but you invited me to your 40th birthday where you're going fishing, and I'm like, fuck yeah. Like, that's a special event for you. You know, yeah, I'll do that. But am I going to be the guy who's kind of every Friday? No, I'm going to prioritize other things. You know, if you get butthurt about that, then it's not it's not the right friendship.
Yeah.
Or we can talk about it, you know?
Yeah.
So you know, you don't want to say no to everything and be super rigid, but you also, I think every invite, take a second to feel into your gut and that internal compass and go, do I actually want to be doing this? Because if the answer is no, then don't. Yeah.
Well, I think a more common scenario for men is the go to the bar scenario. It's like you got the buddies who they're like, hey, we're going out Friday night, or let's go grab a drink here, or whatever. And like, there's guys here that
trivia night at the pub. I'm like, I fucking hate trivia night at the pub.
Yep.
I'm not a trivia
I
guy.
don't go to
I
the
don't
pub.
like the pub. I mean, I do here, but you know, only it's like a social venue, a community space where I run into people. Yeah, totally.
Right. So, yeah, I think there's if the only thing that we can do together and that you invite me to, it only involves us going to the bar and drinking. That's actually fine if that's what I want to do. But if that's not what I want to do, then it's like we don't have to be not friends, but like having that boundary and being clear on that.
Yeah,
I have 6.
Yeah.
Well, I've got 6.5. 4 was like
It's probably like
4.5.
8. It's like read them back.
Could
I
be
don't
10
even
in
know
there.
how many there are. I forget. We do have it in a course on mensgroup.com, but I don't remember how many points there are.
Well, here's your crash course. What you want, fishing in the right pond, shared interests or experiences, qualify, don't take it personally, take initiative, set boundaries.
And pace. Probably pace is in there too.
And pace.
Like it needs you need time to qualify. Yeah, pacing's probably
Right.
yeah, that's it.
I gotta say, like, I'm finding myself having internal conflict as you're talking through this, actually. Because part of me is like, no, I don't need a fucking guidebook to how to go make, like, these 6 things. Like, I'm just gonna be myself. Fuck you, Sean.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be myself, and I'm gonna put myself out there.
Yeah.
And
Totally.
I don't care what other people think. They're either gonna take me as I am and like me, and we're gonna be friends, or not, or like it's just gonna happen organically.
Yeah. I
And
want it to happen.
I'm not gonna logically think about qualifying someone. Like, are you in my inner circle? Like, are we having tryouts? Like that thoughts. Like, you know, we're having tryouts for Josh's inner circle friendship team.
Yeah.
Like,
Totally.
yeah.
Where do I sign up? I'll try
right.
out.
So like, this is what I'm saying. Like, I'm having that thought, but then at the same time, if I think about the people that I'm actually close friends with, this is what happened.
Mm-hmm.
My buddy Carl, like, this is what it was. We became friends and closer over years of time, and we had certain shared experiences and context, and then he showed up in a certain way, and then we talked about this thing, and to my point that I just said, now I can be like, Carl, you want to go fishing? He's like, I don't want to go fishing. Fishing sucks. And I'm like, cool. See you tomorrow. You know, like,
Yeah.
and we hang out doing something else, and there's a closeness there. Or like you and I, like, what about this thing for our businesses or whatever else? But like that happened over time.
Mm-hmm.
We did discover each other in the right pond. We do have shared interests. I have taken some initiative. It's also been reciprocal. There's also some boundaries. You know, like you're like, yeah, I want to hang out with you. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So I have like this internal conflict of like, this sounds like some horse shit. It's not that complicated. Just go fucking make some friends. But then actually, like, what's actually happened is this.
What's actually worked is that I see the same thing in my life. People are very touchy about this subject. You see it in dating too. They're just like, they're attached to these fantasies, these romantic ideals they were fed when we were kids or in the movies, like we talked about earlier, where it's like, no, but I just want it to happen this way, or like, no, but these are my relationships. It's different for me, and it's like, No. Actually, it's not. Like psychologists have studied this across very broad populations. There's like a mating dance typically, and there's like a how to make friends kind of stages or whatever. And I don't know. Nobody likes structure, do we? Especially with the intangible, feely things like relationships. I don't.
I
But
think no. I think that feeling is one of like you have to feel your way through life to some extent. I think that that's there, and that's at odds with thinking your way through life. So I think that's what we're trying to articulate. But
no, everybody has
I
that same
think
knee-jerk thing. It's like, yeah, that makes sense, but like, I don't want to. I don't want to have to do that. That just, I don't want it to be like that for me. Why? Why? Where's that come from for you?
yeah, I mean, I think there's the element of like understanding this. The work is like unpacking this in your own mind, thinking
Yeah.
about it, putting it, but then like don't overthink it. Don't overanalyze it. Slash like if you're hanging out with someone, like it's not an interview. I watched a thing recently that was talking about one of the reasons why dating is so difficult right now. And look, dude, I've been married forever and just I don't fucking
You
I don't know,
old
I'm not in the
but-
dating.
Yeah.
I'm not in the dating pool, but it made sense based on what I'm hearing from friends and seeing. It's like now first dates are an interview. You're not
Yeah.
like on the date. So I think with friends too, it's like if there's too much, if you're overthinking it and they're like, well, I don't know, does he like surfing to the same level that I like surfing? And like, did
Yeah.
he ask me, like you have to know these things is both is my thought. It's like, you have to know these things.
Yeah.
This is like what it goes. And you also have to kind of go with the flow a little bit to like let
Oh,
it
yeah.
unfold.
Yeah, I'd push back on that a little bit though, because it's like, has your approach been working for you? And I'd say yours has to some degree, but like for a lot of people, the answer is no.
Right.
So
Well,
maybe
that's a good
maybe it's
point.
okay for the pendulum to swing, to be a little too analytical. Like when I got burned cheating, like when I got cheated on the last time, I like it was gnarly. So that one stung so bad that I actually learned that lesson. And so I went into dating like very analytical. I sat like to your point, I sat in dates with my arms crossed, leaning back. Like before I'd be like, oh, I hope I get to hope I get to have sex with this girl later. Hope we can have fun and have this fun romantic adventure. I hope we can go on more dates. I sat back, my arms crossed, and went, oh, interesting. She didn't like my dark joke. Oh, interesting. She like got bent out of shape that I didn't open the door for her, even though I opened it 10 times already on this date. So like, and it's not like sitting there like an interview, but it is like just noting when there's flags and like putting them up here, and just being like, okay, that's there. I'm just gonna keep an eye on it. I'm not even really gonna look at it, but it's there. There's a difference there that could affect this person going deeper with this person, And like with you or I just never ran into any of those flags. And so when it flows, but also people aren't. I think being a little hyper vigilant early on isn't a bad thing, because I think people are so painfully unaware of this, and that's why they're struggling.
I was going to say what my interpretation of what you're saying is the word awareness. It's like you applying some awareness is a component of this. This probably goes back to like not knowing how to do this and not thinking about this with the critical mind, because all of your male experience through life is the contextual fluke of we went to the same school together. So like you didn't have to develop any awareness around it.
No, none. Yeah, you didn't need any qualification skills. You didn't need to know how to pace. You didn't need to any of this stuff, right? And people just hold on to those old friends so that they don't have to wade into any of that. But it works. You mentioned this to your friend, this new friend that's developing for me. It works. And with Katie, my partner, like literally, I sat back with like 10 or 20 women on dates that were beautiful, successful, funny, a good fit, but just like there were subtle value cues that they weren't the right fit. And we had a good time still. We still went on dates. Things got racy for sure. But like I was still dating and having fun. But like I noted those flags maybe for the first time in my whole dating career, that there wasn't a values match there. There wasn't an interest match. And like on the 11th one, it was Katie. And like had I just continued on that path because it was fun with some of those women, I probably would have missed the opportunity to meet Katie, who is my life partner and who's like been so supportive, and I've flourished while I've been with her,
Yeah.
So like there is some like tangible aspect to this that, who like you could say that I was being too analytical, but I got a result where honestly my partner and I are fit, and the quality of a person she is a lot better than I see most other people having.
Well, I think to your point too, like the other thing that's coming to mind is I think that people, especially when you're younger as a man, you misinterpret time spent with closeness. Those are not the same thing.
Even older people, the work.
Well, yeah,
thing.
yeah,
no,
yeah.
Yeah, that's just the thing. We share this work thing. We both hate our boss. We both like the Canucks. That's a friend.
Right, and we spend whatever hours a day or a week together because we happen to work in the same place. Therefore, we must be friends. Like, no, you just spend time together. Like, that's not the same thing. Exactly.
Have your back
and
go sideways. Probably
right,
not.
right. And I think that's one component. Is not just about time spent, and then I think also there's this element of like sunk cost. That's where the over analysis comes in, where it's like, oh well, it's the statement in dating when someone would say like, oh well, we've been dating for 4 years, so I don't want to just throw that all away, even though
it's sunk cost fallacy.
It hasn't proposed yet or whatever. The sunk cost fallacy. Like I think that applies with any relationship, friendships inclusive. Like, oh, we've known each other for a year, and our kids go to the same school still and stuff. So like, I guess we're friends.
If you share stuff like that, it's like, they're acquaintances. It's ongoing. Fine, you can keep that going, right? But it's like, you're not a friend, at least not by my definition.
That one doesn't. Yeah, the fact that we've been around each other for a longer period of time versus someone else doesn't mean we're close friends.
No, it means you've seen a lot of them in one context, but like, how are they when they travel? How are they what do they think about religion and parenting and money? And do you share those values? Do you?
Right.
Yeah. Are they acting one way because they're at work? A lot of people put on a very professional face at work, or a different personality and like character, and then they go home and they're super shitty to their partner or whatever. Like beat their kids.
Yeah.
Cops do that all the time. Highest domestic violence rates in out of any profession is police.
Right. Right.
So you don't know where you're getting there until you see more. And so really it feels analytical and like rigid and structured, but you can't argue with the results, because I took this like rigid approach to like dating, and it created the most beautiful flowy relationship I've ever had that now I get to enjoy every single day, hopefully for the rest of my life. And friendships is the same. Like, taking this approach to friendships and saying no where I used to say yes, and qualifying a bit more and being a little bit more discerning. Like, now all of a sudden these beautiful friendships are coming out of the woodwork there, where it's like so deeply enjoyable. And it's like, what do I really want from myself? Do I want this to be a flowy experience, or do I want the result? I want to have a bunch of lovely people around me that I feel at ease with, that are going to be there for me, that I don't feel like are going to be hard on me, that communicate in a way that works for me. And this is how I went about it. And I've seen guys have a lot of success with that.
I guess the thing that I think of in this conversation is, and actually my partner and I have a personality trait differential here too, where like my natural inclination is to just respect you out of principle. You don't have to earn my respect. You just have it, but then you could lose it. Whereas for my partner, she tends to be a lot more like reserved. Not that she is disrespectful, but like reserved in that way. You have to earn her respect, and then she's fiercely on your team. I think friendships are like that too, and there's some differential there. But I would just say, in this process, the only thing about the over analysis that I could see happening is that it blocks you from you actually just being yourself. It's like putting all the onus on the other person to perform in these ways for you to decide whether you can be friends or not. And in doing so, you're not allowing yourself to come through so that they can experience who you really are as well. Hence the initiative step. But I would just like say, for me, my experience has been just also blending that through the whole way. Like that's almost for me been a weird test, I suppose, for people I've gotten closer with, is I'm like, and I'm just going to I don't know if we're going to be good friends or not. I'm just going to be myself. And that, what shakes out from that is a huge indicator for me on whether or not we're going to be close.
Yeah, I haven't experienced, that makes sense. I haven't experienced like the sort of more qualifying structured approach. And as hindering me enjoying the process at all. In fact, the opposite. Like on a boots on the ground moment to moment experience, it's just me paying a bit more attention when my nervous system is telling me that something is a bit of a mismatch here. That's all it
That's
is.
a good call. That's a good call out. The like awareness on what your nervous system's telling you. So I think that that's the spidey sense. Like humans have that, and we can just choose to be unaware of it, or just ignore it. Actually,
and
I think that's the bigger one.
That's the bigger one because you have a different outcome in mind. You want to alleviate your neediness. You want to take this girl to bed. It's like that's why you choose to ignore those flags, and that's why I ignored them for most of my life. I was needy, you know, and so it's paying more attention, like getting clear on what you actually want, and then just being a bit more aware of that moment to moment, you know. And I think I didn't enjoy it any less. I think I actually enjoyed it more because instead of slogging it out with people that I didn't have similarities with and then running into conflict with, it's like over time it actually created this world, this bubble I live in now where everybody's close to me is like just super easy for me to be around.
Yep.
You know?
I think we did kind of say this, but I feel like it needs to be said. I'm just looking at the paper here, going back to like friends at 40 as a dude. I think one of the core elements to all of this is you have to actually prioritize making time for this. Like I think that's the thing that we've like insinuated in this conversation. But in order for you to have enough time to qualify and go through and whatever, like you've got to actually participate on this level. I think a lot of people are like, I don't have friends. But then if you were to like really critically look at yourself and say, am I participating anywhere in any way that would give me opportunity to create friends? You're like, well, nope.
No.
I'm not doing anything. So
totally. Yeah. Yeah.
Guess what?
Yeah.
Like, what do you think's going to happen? Someone's going to come knock on your door at your house and be like, hey, want to be bros? Like,
yeah, hey, ooh, hey. And, you know, like in the romance movies, like people, like a lot of women especially, and guys too. I have friends who don't want to be on the apps because they just want to meet somebody naturally. And what happens, they're chronically with people that I think they're punching down with. Because the chances of you meeting somebody that is at the right time in their life and wants similar things and shares similar values and has a similar communication style, like there's like 100 criteria that actually have to meet up for a sustainable relationship. And it's like, you just want to meet that you expect to just fumble into that at the bar? Like, I know it happens, but like, didn't happen for me. You know, I tried a lot.
Seems well, and look, the friendship at 40 part, what I can say from my experience has been the older I've gotten, the even less likely that is.
Yes.
Like 22-year-old me might have fumbled into a friendship at a bar. 40-year-old me, like, I'm not accidentally friends with someone who I see at the bar. Like,
where it's a good fit. No.
Yeah. I mean, I don't even go to the bar anymore right now. But
why is that? Why do you think that is? Why do you think that is? That as it get older, it gets harder?
That's a good question. I don't know if it gets harder. I think I think you have more clarity on your own values and who you are and what is actually something you want to have a relationship around, you know? Mm-hmm. So it's less likely to be some ultra superficial thing like getting fucked up at the bar at random, you know?
Yeah, if you're somebody who like is on a journey of maturity, yes, that's true, which is most people, you know? There are people who are still at 50 going to nightclubs and trying to bang young women and, you know, party with whoever and whatever. But like anybody who's actually on a journey of like maturation, which is like getting clear on what you want and what makes you feel good and the kinds of people you like to be around and the kinds of conversations you don't want to be having and what you're maybe trending into like purpose and stuff. It's like, yeah, inevitably you're going to get more clear about who you are and what you want and what you don't want. And also you're going to have less energy and time for the stuff you don't want. So, so the funnel narrows, you know, like the pool of people that are available and have capacity and are going to share commonalities with you is like gets less and less and less.
Yeah. Well, you know, an interesting thing, I don't know where this fits into the conversation that happens here, is there's a real cliquiness in this town. And it really pissed me off in the beginning. Like, I remember being about a year into living here and being like, fuck these people. You know, like, people here are assholes because they're really reserved, but it's a self-preservation thing where, like, this is a transient place where most people, and we've had it, like we've had like good, you know, pretty decent friends, and then like my daughter would be like really close with their daughter or whatever, and they stay for a season and their kid go to school, and then they're just like, now we changed our mind, we're not coming back.
Yeah.
So then like you're more, the next time like there's the new person comes in and they're all gung-ho to be friends with you and everything seems great, you are more reserved about how much interaction you give with them, because you're like, especially here the joke is like, as soon as someone says like, you're like, oh, where are you from? And like, how come you're here or whatever? Like, did you buy a place? What's going on? And they're like, yeah, we're going to try it out for 6 months. That's the number one flag for you to be like, cool. Like, I'll talk to you next year. Yeah. Which sounds super assholey, but that happened to us. No. And it pissed me off, but whatever.
But you learn that it's actually a self-care move, probably.
Because and I think for most people it's subconscious.
Yeah, but most people get tired of being heartbroken in transient tourist towns, you know? And and so there's that, and I felt that living in Mexico, and I felt that here, and I felt that living in Whistler and Squamish. It's like anywhere where people are coming and going on a seasonal basis. It's like you can only do it so many times, or you invest in people, put your energy and heart into somebody, and then they just leave, you know? And so I think it's understandable to be guarded. It's actually a healthy move, I think. I wouldn't have said that when I was younger and like hippie and like, oh, everybody should be open all the time. But like psychology clearly outlines that socioeconomic status is another one. Like people will automatically organize themselves into similar socioeconomic status groups and or cultural groups, because it's just easier if you're with around people that are in similar places in life. You know? Yeah,
I think that I don't like how true that is. The younger me is like,
it's an uncomfortable truth.
But I think it's more uncomfortable. But I have experienced and would agree with it more and more. I'm still not say it's a hard truth, but like, just, you know, I've been in the entrepreneurial online business world or whatever for full time for over a decade and longer than that even. And so just like, if someone's talking to me about their business and there's a guy, I have an idea or whatever else, and I'm thinking about maybe this thing, but I just got it, whatever. I'm like, I don't want to have that conversation.
No, neither do I. No, thanks. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, not to be a dick. I'm just like, it's not interesting. Or, you know.
You sense it's going to be a sinkhole of energy probably too. Like, even if you did, like, here's what I found in that exact scenario, because I've been an entrepreneur for 20 years, not to one up you, but like, you know, it's like, yeah, not a dick wag, double the decade you've done.
I meant in my current entrepreneurial thing. Yeah. If we go, I started fucking mowing lawns when I was 13. Sean, suck it.
Totally. You said you had a job, bro. Totally. There is a bit of ego about that. Oh, you're not an entrepreneur. But like, same thing, man. I mean, there's how many times can I sink my energy into somebody who's like thinking about starting something and then they never do, or they throw 3 months at it and give up. And, you know, it's like, I can't keep doing that. There's a self-care boundary.
Well, and to that point, that person, if they offer their insights on your business, you take it with a grain of salt. Like, it sounds like a dick thing, but I'm like,
the same way. They can't offer value.
You've never built a coaching business or whatever else. Don't tell me that I need to run a Google ad like this. You have no fucking clue what you're talking about. You know, like, here's another example that just came up recently. Actually, we went to some water slides and with the families for a birthday, and there's 2 prices. There's the like locals price, which you can get as a foreigner if you have a permanent residency card, which we do, and whatever. Otherwise, it doesn't matter if you say you're living here or not. You're a fucking foreigner. You're going to pay the higher price. And it's quite a bit more. It's still nothing. It's still like, we're talking about, it costs you $30 instead of 10, you know, to go to a water park, which is obscenely affordable. And this person was arguing because they wouldn't give them the thing. And then I overheard them saying to someone else, like, oh, I didn't have a residency card. So like, I got scammed and I had to pay more money or whatever. And that perspective, because they're newer in the area and also financially they're still viewing it like I should negotiate on this price here culturally in the thing. I'm like, I did that before. I remember the younger me doing that, and now I look back and like, that was dumb. Like that person's just doing their job.
Yeah.
You don't actually live here because you rent a house and you're here for 6 weeks. You don't live here.
They need to promote people coming to live here, because in the low season they need those people to keep them alive, to keep food on their table. There's very good reason why they're trying to promote to actual locals and not you, who feels entitled to that, that designation.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And also, like, to me, I'm not like so loaded that I don't think about expenditures or whatever, but like the $10 plus or minus savings on something like that here is an irrelevant amount of money. So it's not worth it for me to even energetically try to negotiate on something like that.
Yeah.
So anyways, we're not in the same place, and therefore the connection is limited. This is
how humans have structured ourselves for as long as we go back into history. It's hierarchies, dominance hierarchies, social hierarchies, like groups. And so I felt the same thing when I moved to this town. How some of the cool surf kids or whatever wouldn't let us into their circle. But now I actually respect that, because they didn't know if we were sticking around, and we don't share values. They're a very Instagram-y crew. They're like, they don't want to talk about real shit. They just want to drink beers and surf and like other stuff like that. And here's Katie and I bumbling up, and we're open books, and it's like, just not a fit, Right. And I respect them for keeping that circle closed, because we had experiences in the opposite, where we joined a social circle of like hippie people when we first moved here, and we thought that's just like what everybody was out here because it's a surf town. But no, these are just the people that didn't have standards around who they're hanging around with, so they invite everybody over. People that came in fishing docks or fishing boats off the docks, people who work at the construction sites who are only here for 2 weeks. And it was just like all these difficult conversations, and you don't know if these people are like serial killers, and I mean, that sounds extreme, but we don't know who these people are. We have no idea. Yeah, humans naturally organize themselves in social circles, hierarchies, for protective reasons.
Yep. And no. I get what you're saying. I get the picture. Yeah. I've experienced a similar thing in a lot of different ways, but like, because in the yoga world,
yoga's bad for it. I'm not gonna lie. It
happens.
Bad. Yeah.
It happens a lot. There's a lot of weird, like, whatever.
Inclusive
anyways,
shit. Yeah.
False inclusivity. We could have a whole episode on fucking how inclusivity in the yoga world is horseshit half the time.
Just to point it out, because I know you agree, but for anybody who's listening, what that is it's actually victim mentality and conflict avoidant personalities. The biggest thing is conflict avoidance.
Yeah, I think that's the big one.
Yeah,
that I see.
Is like, I don't want to like set boundaries with people because that's mean. Really, they're just scared. And I watched some of these people in the social circle like struggle to set boundaries at work, and then it blew up and created conflicts. Struggle to set boundaries with people who want to come and stay with them. Then they have somebody on the couch for like 5 weeks, and they can't tell them to leave. It's like across the board they struggle with boundaries, which are a very healthy thing, and that's why their social approach is, everybody should be welcome. But that's not a real approach for attracting high quality people into your life that actually share your values and your mindset.
Well, and I don't think it benefits the other person either.
How so?
Like this is something that, when we talk about addiction and, the family level disease of it and et cetera, like a lack of boundaries doesn't help the other person. Like, you have to have boundaries, more empowering to the other person, so that could be your friend, to like have clear boundaries.
Yeah.
That's actually more empowering for them too. It's not just you. It's not only protective, it's also like helps the relationship. There's a clarity, I think, that comes with that's powerful. I had the scenario where I went to an ayahuasca ceremony, and whatever, the ceremony was its thing, but then like at the end, the quote shaman, which I don't know, was like, now let's put you guys all together in a WhatsApp group, and now you're bonded for life with this shared experience, whatever. And I was like, I never fucking want to talk to any of you again, ever.
Yeah. Totally. Yeah, I had one
And
of
like
those too.
that was my shit.
Yeah.
It was no actual. None of that was to say any of those were not great people. But like I'm like there is nothing about this or any one of you here that makes me connected with you.
Yep.
But that was another example of what you're talking about. Where it's like, oh, because we did ayahuasca together, now we're all. I'm like, what? No, why? Like,
Yeah.
no way.
I had the same
Yeah.
thing at an Iboga ceremony, and there's one guy there who's a complete psychopath, and I talked to the leaders about it right away. And they're like, oh, we need to be accepting. And then he just continued to create chaos. And then one of the other attendees ended up staying in touch with him and let him stay with him for a bit. And the guy took money from him and was trying to convince this guy who's like a recovered drug addict to go out and get drugs with him. And this is science. It's not my opinion. A negative influence is going to have 6 times the impact on you than a positive influence. And it's like you don't know who you're getting when you first see them. They're going to have their best face on. You need to qualify. People can, I think this is just a hard truth people don't want to acknowledge, is how much people can impact their head, impact their heart, you know? Like, it's a real thing, you know? And can I share one other uncomfortable step that is number 9 that since you're getting triggered and since people listening here are getting triggered as well, that I heard Jordan Peterson say this in an interview. I'm making myself sound like a Jordan Peterson fanboy, but it was so rewarding hearing like a clinical psychologist of 45 years articulate this same stuff that I've been noticing socially, you know? And he said, you have to be willing to make micro adjustments in your social circle. So it's not hard cuts because that creates drama, but it's about having awareness and noticing when there's stuff that isn't going to be a fit, and then making little adjustments in your social map with them. So maybe somebody has a kid and they go really far down that path and they're like a helicopter parent and obsessive and you just don't like being around that energy. Okay, well that's obviously going to change the box they're going to be in. And that's okay. And it's like a cold hard truth that like friendships are going to change. And if you don't accept that, what's going to happen, you're going to end up in conflict a lot of the time. Some of those friendships can continue on because you have enough in common. Some of them don't. But it's those micro adjustments along the way, like while you're making the friends and once you have the friends, it's noticing differences and flags and being like, okay, interesting, this person just expressed that they think that it's mean that I set a self-care boundary with a friend. Fuck, if this person, that's how they feel about social life, I probably can't talk about my social life anymore because I don't want to be made to be feeling bad for setting boundaries. That's not good. I want friends that are encouraging. Okay, well, this person was trending towards the close friend box. They're probably actually down in an acquaintanceship now.
Yeah.
Cold hard truth,
Yeah.
but that's how these things work. And
No,
the micro adjustments
I like-
along the way are what avoid the conflicts and the drama. Because if you keep going down the path, then eventually you're going to end up at odds with each other.
No, I like that too, the micro adjustment, because that is, I think, organically what happens. It's just like bringing some more consciousness to it in general. That not from a judgmental place, but from a just like it's just the truth of what it is.
So. Yeah, totally. It's just acceptance in reality, you know.
Well, fuck. Now it seems like people are gonna be super excited to go make friends.
Yeah,
Be careful of the triad of attack. You know, but I think the deeper.
Dark narcissists are wild, dude. I feel like a third of our members come in and want to talk about a narcissistic partner or a narcissistic friend. Like, you know, it's hard to get out of a situation with a narcissist. It's like they're working you to keep getting from you. You know, it's a real thing. It's a real common thing. Like 16% of the population is narcissist, and that is what do you call it that's diagnosed. And narcissists are notorious for not going and admitting things to professionals and taking responsibility. So it's like, is the number 30%? Probably. Okay, well, that's a lot of people you probably don't want to bring close. So yeah, pace, qualify.
We need a narcissist episode for sure.
Oh, dude, we're doing it 100%. I've been ruined by narcissists over and over again. I finally learned the lesson. Yeah, I have some myself. I have a little bit of it myself too.
Well, I read a thing that says everyone has some, like to say anyone is completely never in their life had any behavior that could be categorized in a narcissistic way is not true. Like it's just part of being a human. But when it becomes like a personality, that's a different thing altogether.
Yeah, and this is a good example of a criteria, right? It's like I had narcissism in my family big time. And so I'm susceptible to those manipulative tactics more than the average person probably, like guilt tripping, shaming, gaslighting, blaming, deflecting responsibility, all that stuff. And I'm also guilty of using those things occasionally. Now the difference is that I've done so much therapy that I know when I'm doing it, and I can quickly take ownership for it. And it's toned down as I've matured and worked on it, you know? But like there's lots of people who are just blissfully unaware, and they just burn people, use people. And you don't know until you're like 9 months down the road with somebody, and then all of a sudden you get into like a benign little conflict, or you disagree with them around something, and they're like telling people you're an asshole all of a sudden because they cannot take responsibility. That happens all the time.
Well, actually, I experience this firsthand all the time in my work. And there's yoga studios are a good example of this, but I think a lot of businesses, and going back to one of the things we said, we're like, because we work together, we think we're friends. But this happens with like, with staff, but with owners of businesses. Like a really common conversation that I have with the owner of a business is, you're not, like your staff are not your friends. But those are the people they spend the most time with. So they're like, well, I can't push Sean to do this thing or whatever in my studio because I know that he doesn't like the whatever else. I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? You own the business, and that's literally the definition of their job. What do you mean you can't tell them to do this thing? Like, what are we talking about? You know, oh, they may, you know, or like that's who they think their friend group is. So, but again, that comes from not going out and doing something external to prioritize trying to find real friendships or connections
that's not
somewhere
getting clear
else.
on what you actually need. Hey, maybe it's not good if I want us to be able to talk. It's like you and me. We talk about our work together. Like I couldn't do that with somebody I work with, and that's a big part of my life. It's like 10 hours a day. I need to be able to have safe places to vent about that stuff, you know?
Yeah.
And so that's probably on the list. We can bitch about our works. And my friends I have now are all business owners or like general managers of cool projects for the most part, similar to me. I didn't choose them for that. It's just we can relate. You know, somebody working at a coffee
that's what
shop.
comes up.
Yes, somebody living in a coffee shop or living in a trailer, working in a coffee shop, there's no judgment about our differences. But like I found over time, I learned this the hard way, that like at the end they can't. We have trouble relating because our mind, our values, our perspectives, what we put our time into is vastly different.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. I think
at work it's the same thing.
You know, in another way, I find that here, one of the harder ways to make friends for me living in Mexico has been like to have like an actual Mexican national local friend. Like there are no people who, there's one guy that I'm like friendly with, but I have no friends who like grew up here in this town or in this area. Like we just do not share life experience. We don't share values the same way. Like, now I do have a few Mexican friends that are like, they all seem to be from Guadalajara for some reason. Like,
there's good reason. I can share that in a second, but go on.
Yeah, for whatever reason, like those are the like actual Mexican friends that I have.
Yeah,
they're still not like super intimate, but like we
because
have
you live
enough.
in a small town, which if you grew up in a small town in BC or Alberta or anywhere in North America, you probably, aside from these outlier adventure sports towns, you would be dealing with rural people that lived very differently from you. Guadalajara is a big-ass fancy city with a ton of yuppies and people who are ambitious and driven, and it's a very cultural city, and so it makes sense. You just have more in common with them. You know?
Right, and like we have a more similar education level. We have like a different family value system, like whatever. Yeah.
Commonalities. It's the same reason why when immigrants move to Canada, for example, they organize them. They only hang out with people from their country, and local, you know, conservative old men get all pissed off about that. Oh, they don't want to integrate. It's like, of course not. It's just so much easier to just be with be with people that are like you.
Yeah,
I found this in dating too, man. I always had this fantasy I wanted to date like a Norwegian model, and I did. I dated all these beautiful women from all around the world, and like at the end of the day, they didn't get my Simpsons jokes. They didn't get my they didn't get my hockey references.
Right.
You know, and I thought ending up with a Canadian girl would be boring, but I ended up with a girl from Ontario who gets all my Tim Hortons jokes and my, you know, all that stuff, and that's stuff I find really lovely in our relationship, and it's just those similarities. When I lived
Yeah.
in Mexico, dude, 6 years, same thing. I didn't have any close friends. I had a group of friends that I'd met through my girlfriend who like worked at the hotel, and they didn't have any other friends there because they moved there to work at the hotel, and we surfed together and we had on dinner. But those friendships only went so deep. I didn't get any of their cultural references. I didn't get any of their jokes, their way of humor. Like it was, I could have spent 10 more years there, and I still wouldn't have understood that stuff. And so,
Yeah.
of course, it's not going to go that deep. You know?
You know, I know we're like way so far deep into this now, but like I feel like that's a massive indicator of friendship too, is humor. Like share some level of shared humor. Like we don't have to have the same kind of humor, but if you don't think anything I do or say is funny, then like I don't like that. And if you say a bunch of shit that you think's funny and I'm like, that's not funny, like that's a pretty drastic divide for me. There is some shared humor element that is in there.
I have buddies. I have buddies where they don't have the humor, but they're not going to trend in that upper box, which is like the close friends. I got buddies that I surf with where they're not that funny, but we just nerd out on surfing. Or I got buddies that like can talk hockey, and that's cool because that's nostalgic for me. But like to make that close friend list, or it's not a list that I'm actually keeping, but you know what I mean? It's like you need to be able to laugh about stuff, and often that seems like a surface level thing, but it's not, because if you look it up in the medical textbooks, what's the point of laughter? It's actually to shake out trauma from the nervous system. It's to shake out anxiety and stuff like that. And so, yeah, I think if you can laugh together, it shows that you have similar views on difficult things. And that's good grounds for a supportive friendship.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
I mean, being able to laugh over the same thing is very connective, obviously, as well. But no, I agree. I think also there's, on the deeper friendship level, it's like it goes both ways. I've got friends who can say something and like, because I understand who they are via our relationship, they can run the risk of making a joke that they wouldn't otherwise make.
Yes.
And we can laugh about it because I understand the deeper context of what's going on, and vice versa. You know, it's like I can make a joke with you and you and I will laugh about it. If I made the same joke in another scenario, maybe someone like is like, I don't know if that's funny, or you can't say that, like that sort of stuff. And I'm not saying I'm making like terrible jokes or something behind the scenes.
Sometimes with me.
Well,
So we do.
but you know what I mean? Like there's a deeper understanding, like humor and shared humor, I think is a pretty powerful indicator.
Yeah, there's a lot more
of
going on
likeness
there
between people.
Yeah, there's deep waters there. There's a lot more that's, I think, important there around if you can laugh about the same things, especially the dark things. Like that's that's for good biological, sociological reasons, probably. You know. I would imagine. Yeah, totally. And we're gonna do an episode on laughing at offside things. We're gonna do an episode one day. We talked about it about. Is it okay to laugh at dark jokes? Is it okay to make
what
jokes?
is offside? What is offside?
Humor, like all that stuff. Because like you've noticed, Josh, a resurgence in comedy of that kind of stuff, and I have too, and I'm real darn happy about it. Because I like friendships where we can laugh together.
Well, I think, whatever. There's a whole conversation there. I think that there's been too much push to eliminate humor in certain ways. And there's a little bit of there's like a pushback that I see happening right now. So
yeah, it's good.
Yeah.
I think we're at time here. Hey, unless there's any other topics you want to get into with regards to friendship, I just want to end this by saying I can't understress or undersell how much better life can be when you have a few good friends around you, where it's easy, you know, and where you laugh and where they can be supportive when you're down, and they can enjoy the good times with you, and it really is worth the effort. And so, you know, all the things we talked about today, some of those steps we outlined, like if you apply them, you will see results. Like I guarantee it. If you actually identify, okay, I am feeling lonely. Okay, I do lack friends. Here's what I'd like out of friends, given my unique interests and stuff like that. And you put yourself out there in the right pond, and you qualify, and you pace, and you take your time, and you note the flags, and you make micro adjustments along the way. You will have great friends in your life. You can do it.
And I would double down on the value behind it. At the times that I've had the darkest moments and the most difficulty and whatever else, it's not necessarily because my friends did some major monumental thing or whatever else. It was just like the feeling of security that you know you've got someone that you can literally just like have dinner with and just have presence with, you know, like just someone else that like you have this sense of not being alone, the sense of someone's got your back, the sense of like, I can just, for 5 minutes, I can just be like, Sean, what the fuck with this? You know, like that's what I can say firsthand has been massively powerful in being able to get through cleanly, as clean as you can, some tough shit.
I would agree. I just did it with you the other day. We took like 15 minutes. There's probably more knowing us, but you know, after that meeting, and I just vented to you with tears in my eyes, and that changed my whole week and the trajectory of my, you know, business. And like, but
would you have?
I felt so much better. Like I felt unstuck.
Yep.
You know.
And would you have got through that on your own? Sure, but maybe it would have taken the whole week.
Yeah, 2 weeks, or you know, and how much energy would I have burned? How much?
Yep.
More would I have gone to addictions? How much more would I have ignored my partner while I wrestle with this internal stuff? You know, it's like this stuff has consequences, like not dealing with it. You know?
Yep.
Yeah, it's real shit. Dude, masterclass in friendship. I love it. For first episode, I feel like this is pretty hard hitting, good impact stuff. So if you guys have any, or gals that are listening, if you have any thoughts or suggestions on what we could do better or differently, leave them in the comments below. We'd love to hear from you. Anything else?
I want to hear it.
Yeah.
If you think we're assholes, tell us that too. I want to hear all of it.
It's great. I look
I'm here
forward
for
to it. Yeah.